psalmist, David. So when you understand that once you start, you see yourself sitting in the God seat in triple darkness in the middle of nowhere, and you recognize and observe that position. You sitting in the center of creation. That's the mindset. You sitting in the center of creation and you creating everything. Okay, now you need to simplify the totality of creation. You got to bring it into your 3D model of yourself. I'm God pretending to be Rod. How am I supposed to behave as God in this 3D realm? This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to rewrite who the system told me to be. I'm not going to be Rod. I'm going to be Morpheus Mysticus Magus. Morpheus Mysticus Magus is our chemical name that was adopted by the character Rod in order to break free from the character Rod and become the embodiment of the liberating mind that I want to be, so that I can help other people liberate their mind. So
All right, family. Woo! You know what? I didn't realize, y'all, that tonight was when because I originally wanted to do the show Saturday, y'all, and it didn't work out Saturday, and I had to reschedule for Monday. And then somebody said, yo, tonight's the Scorpio full moon, so it's the perfect night. I didn't even know that. So maybe y'all could touch on the Scorpion full moon and all of that stuff a little later. But and what's beautiful also about the show that we're about to start, I'm gonna introduce my wonderful guest in a second, family, is that it's a day after Mother's Day. Yeah. And that's beautiful, y'all. That's one of the most beautiful days of the year when we honor our mother. I always talk to y'all about my mother. My mother made the transition when I was young, at the age of 25 years old. And my mother was, when you have a revolutionary mother, it hits different. And I had a revolutionary mother, and that instills something in you as a man. It's different. So shout out to my moms who's in another realm right now for instilling this revolutionary spiritual presence within me. And that's why I'm able to do what I do. With that being said, listen, this is a wonderful one tonight. I'm going to start out one by one. First, I want to welcome Sister Myrah. Y'all know Sister Myrah. Every time she comes on the stage, yes, we got 3,000 or more people in the room. She's one of the most revered, loved spiritual oracles in the world. Thank you for coming, Sister Myrah. I have met to meet somebody as fiery as Vicki Dillard. Vicki burned a house down with her mind. I mean, this is pure fire and electricity.
Thank you.
Say this, y'all. 2 months ago, somebody sent me. I had the privilege of clicking on the video, and it was this queen right here, Sybils, aka Mah Mah Tea, and I'm watching the show. And I'm like, wow, that's just some more raw. Now, I told you, my mother was already revolutionary. So when you come with fire, I'm like, let's get it. I'm like, I love it. I'm with it. I'm with the shits. So with the shits, I love it. And I want to welcome, I absolutely love what you bring to your channel. We're going to let people know about your channel and what you got going on. But I want to welcome you to the platform as well. When I seen you 2 months ago, I was like, I got to get it on before the year's over. And I guess now's that time. So I want to welcome all three of y'all to Black.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Another man who loves his mama.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. There you go. That's it.
That's
it right there. Different kind of brother right there.
Yes.
Absolutely. Indeed.
Well, what a show we're going to have tonight. We're talking, the topic is, this divine feminine energy that's returning to the planet cannot be denied. There's something that I got introduced to years ago that really, when Vicki Dillard came on my show, and she talked about the Sybils, it really hit me when she started talking about it. I heard about it before, but when she came on, it really just something about the way she was explaining it touched my soul. And ever since then, I'm always running in the conversation about it. Shout out to who the sister that wrote the book, Sybils? What's this?
Dr. Mama Zogbe.
Okay, shout out to that queen who wrote the book.
Yeah.
And
yes,
I
shade to her. Transitioned on a couple years ago.
Okay,
but shout out to her. She's also known as Dr. Vivian Hunter Hindrew. but her, what we all know her as affectionately as Dr. Mama Zobe.
Excellent, excellent. Shout out to her spirit in whatever realm she's in for inspiring this show tonight. There's a resurrection of the daughters of the Sybils, and yeah, it's on and popping, y'all. So I want to start out like this. So a lot of times I've asked this question to the Moorish brothers when I hear about the great Moorish empires and what the Moors did, and it's, you know, the obvious question you ask the Moorish brothers and sisters is that, well, if the Moors taught the Europeans how to bathe, they taught the Europeans this, they taught that, they introduced this, they did all these things, how the hell did they fall? It's like an obvious question you ask to the Moorish brothers and sisters who are out there, and shout out to all of them for doing a wonderful job of explaining it. What I want to ask y'all today is, in terms of the Sybils, when I hear about the power that the Sybils possessed, what they were able to do, them being the Bible basically coming from them, and we misinterpret it. We don't understand how to read it correctly, and we give all the credit to all these other European sources. But I mean, if they're inspiring books like the Bible and a lot of other spiritual systems in the world, and if they did everything that I'm hearing that they say they did, I want to ask y'all, just like I asked the Moorish community, how did the Sybils manage to fall to the Europeans, Alexander the Great, or whoever it was? How did this happen?
Well, I don't know if one of you ladies going to start.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's interesting, dear brother. And the reason it's interesting is because we have to understand who the enemies of our ancient mothers were, who the first one was. Now, I am the most pro-masculine feminine. It was known as that for many years, always defending the Black man, and will continue to do so. So I want to, off the top, say this is not about a gender war. Do you understand? If my dear brothers are in their feelings, and for that matter, even some of our sisters, it is because you're choosing to make it that way. Do you understand? If we're about what truth is, then we're going to have to eliminate that reality. But when we look at the facts, and when we look at the history, the first enemy that rose up against our ancient mothers was the Black man.
Whew.
They became jealous of her power. They became jealous of her very high seat and her ability to command and have rank and sanction and magic and authority in the trilateral spheres, the upper worlds, the middle worlds, and the lower worlds. And because of that, they are the ones that first came against her internally, and some of them are the first ones that initially sold her off. And so the white man, as we would call them, is the one that exacerbated it and took it to astronomical levels. Do you understand? So because of this treachery and because of this blasphemy and this betrayal from our own, it is believed that the reason why the great pharaohs, the great Black ancient kingdoms fell was because you first came against your mama. So this is something that even some of our Moorish brothers need to keep in mind, is that one of the reasons, in my opinion, that we are seeing some of the difficulty with some of our brothers, even though we know the first difficulty was first and foremost against your mamas, whether you want to acknowledge it and believe it or not. But when folks want to know how can the most ancient, most technologically savvy, and most evolved civilizations have fallen, it was because, in my opinion, you came against your Black mama. And we're talking about the one that crystallized in the form of what we call the Sybils, which is his catch-all term. They were known by many names, I'm sure. Sybils, aka Mama Tea, can take it further, because I believe you actually with her, and I think I saw a clip of you talking about your relationship with her, so I won't dare to tread that far. But I would simply say that, in my opinion, that's the reason why the divine judgment came on some of our brothers when they lost that and when they came against their mothers. This is very important. Now, I was actually looking, dear brother, you mentioned specifically the Moors, and I'm going to stop because I would like for my other sisters to tap in. I'm kind of hood with her book here about the Sybils. That's called the Sybils. That's the title. The First Prophetesses of Mamiwata. I'm going to try to put it on the screen. Tell me, can you see this picture?
Hold on, let me put you on the solo screen. Give me a second. Yes, I can. Yes.
Can the family see that?
The ancient African tradition of calling up the dead.
Yes.
Kuman Bat Sibyl.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, why am I showing you this particular one based on what you just asked? You asked specifically about the Moors and the fall of them. I know you mentioned about the Sybils, the ancient mothers falling. What we have to understand is I don't see, quote unquote, the ancient Sybils having fallen in that sense, even though I understand what you're saying in terms of their kingdom, in terms of their authority and power, having passed away. I believe that they allowed themselves for a higher purpose because they're connected to the celestial realms, other dimensions and other works and other governments. For such a time as this, I believe that they allowed themselves and their energy and their power to be given up. Like some that believe this Jesus had to die and be buried and go into the underworld to rise again. And we say some believe that he's God incarnate, but no one questions why did he actually have to die, even though we know that story is taken from the ancient text of Inanna and Ishtar, which is also connected to the actual Black ancient goddess who went into the underworld and was buried and died rather for 3 days and ascended with the power and authority. We say the reason why Jesus has a name that's above every name, the name in which we say every knee will bow and tongue confess, right? It's because he went what? Into the underworld. We know they stole that story from the ancient Inanna and the Ishtars and so forth, but that's another story. I'm saying that transformation, him understanding that he would allow himself in that Sunday school version to go into the underworld, to die, to be recalibrated, to be remade, right? So that he could ascend. I believe there's a similar, more accurate principle that took place with our ancient mothers because they prophesied their own doom.
Okay.
They prophesied their end. But I showed you this picture and I'm done. I want to shut up so my sisters can talk, my elders can talk. I showed you this of the Kumeyan bat symbol, Sibyl, because that image that you just saw there, dear brother, is featured on the Moors coat of arms.
Woo! Why you took it there, Vicki? Why you took it there, Vicki?
Ooh, that's your fault. That lady, you see how quick I had to go there because you didn't tell me you was gonna say that.
Yeah.
Above it's a feature of Moors coat of arms. This bat lady is none other than the Kumeyan Sibyl Herophile, or one of her predecessors that probably acquired the name Bat Sibyl because of the totemic symbol of the bat. And I'm not going to talk about what all that signifies because some of that is esoteric, but I'm just wanting you to know that these symbols served as luck. For these, they served as amulets. You understand? Many of the symbols, not just there, but throughout the world, their images were placed outside of stores, grocery stores, and taken into battle because they believed that helped to bring them victory. But that was specifically found on the coat of arms of one of the Moors. So I'm stopping now.
Excellent. Wow. Excellent. Yeah.
That was amazing. Thank you for pointing all of that out because it connects to many people talk about the Moors, but they don't talk about who their mothers were. Right. And a lot of their mothers were Sybils. So you'll see the pictures, the portraits all throughout the New World. Not this is the old world over here in the Americas. The New World over there in the Middle East and Italy and Rome and all through there. The reason why I call that the New World is because after the Atlantean flood, that's where they started rebuilding. But little did they know we were still over here. But to say to piggyback on what Sister Vicki is talking about, it was betrayal. It was a series of betrayals on how they felt. And yes, they knew that this was coming. You know, there are some things we're not supposed to pass on, but out of love and out of concern, we teach our sons some of these mystery codes. We teach them some of these things. And they had, just like some of the Egyptians, had a habit of intermixing and intermingling with other races and sharing the codes with them as well, which turned into betrayal. And now the magic was turned on them.
Yes.
Right. See, this was magic that was done, spells. So many sisters who hold these womb codes. See, the Sybils never went away.
Come on.
A lot of them went underground.
Come on.
Many of them were already over here long before any slave ship because they're gates that connect. And the one thing that we know that the Sybils are here, but we don't, what's missing is the story behind them. And the story behind them is they hold the memory of the great mother Tiamat. And that's when the battle was over. Everywhere that you see the war with the great dragon, on all sacred texts, the wars against snakes. See, Mama Zobe connected it to Mami Wata, right? She connected as the oracles, the Sybils were the oracles of Mami Wata. And you see what's going on with mermaids and things of that nature. But when you look at the symbolism of Mami Wata, what does she have wrapped around her? A python.
Come on.
Right? The snake.
Yes.
Even in astrology, they removed the 13th sign with the symbol of the snake. So it was not so much that she lost power, she lost memory. And that's what really, that's what caused her fall. The spell, she was spellbound, and then her memory, amnesia, and then the series of blood oaths through arranged marriages to bring forth more of these bloodline lineages, priesthoods, is what caused a lot of her fall.
Powerful.
Because, and I'm gonna let Sister Mark. Unless you have a question about that.
Well, you know, you guys are so excellent on the details. You know me, I'm an energy person.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to try to answer the question through energy. And we do energy spirals, spirited spiral.
Yes.
Around, comes around, okay? And cycles. I talk about the 4 members of the royal family of spiritual energy through the 4 elements. That describes all the 4 members of the royal family. And we're only dealing with, there has to be a dual balance of opposites to create the whole, holistic. And that's what makes it real. Full 360-degree spiral, 180 degrees on each half, okay? So what we're actually looking at is an alchemical process, turning what is base into gold, refining. And it's all wrapped around the 4 members of the royal family. Fire element is the son. Air element is the father. Water element is the mama. And the earth element is the daughter, not Mother Earth, daughter Earth. Okay? Daughter Earth is a family. Father spirit, son of power, mama universe, and daughter Earth. Whole family of energy. And what we have is a cycle, you see. Spirit is spiral. What goes around comes around. Everything started matriarchal. That is antiquity. Our ancestry. Mama tells us where we came from, and Father tells us where we're headed, how to move forward and fulfill our spiritual purpose and destiny. So Mama deals with the soul realm, the subconscious, where Father deals with the spirit realm, the conscious realm. And everything started matriarchal. That's where we had the magic. That's where we had the powers. Mama is synonymous with magic. First 2 letters of magic is Ma. That is her domain. Father, as the air element, deals with logic and reason and knowing. Okay? Mama, the water, is going to take you beyond logic and reason and knowing. She's the subconscious. We have completed the half, the masculine half. The masculine half is what usurps the feminine half. We're looking at energy and how energy spirals from the matriarchal, antiquity, ancestry. She is the ancient of ancients. Mama universe, mama soul, big mama, this is mama magic, the mama, the ancient of ancients.
Yes.
And then when she completed, see, all energy only goes 180 degrees before it has to be balanced with the opposite 180 degrees. So that is how, when we completed the matriarchal half at her 180 degrees, and we spiraled to the patriarchal half where it became external and masculine, air and fire, or father and son. You see? And the son, in particular, we're talking the son who usurped, you see, the feminine empowerment, betrayal. All those are the details that goes into and makes up the collective cycle of this energy. When we talk about the sun, right now, what we're talking about is the resurrection of the sun. We've completed our half, the physical half, the physical vessels of sacrifice and struggle. Because energy only unfolds through a negative and positive polarity. So we have been the vessels of sacrifice and struggle, not just in this lifetime, but through many lifetimes. And now, anytime we get into the Aquarian age, because Aquarius is the sign of evolution. And see, I call myself a holistic, which means I don't talk about one sign without its opposite. I think there's 6 axes of energy, not 12 individual signs. So after you put the 2 halves together, you have the whole, right? So when we're talking about Aquarius, the opposite sign of Aquarius is Leo. And the Leo Aquarius is our evolution, and Leo is balance, is the evolution of a resurrection of the sun into his creative powers. So it's now time for that resurrection. Come full cycle. Whenever we get into the Aquarian age, that means we've balanced on enough levels to evolve to a new level in spiritual rulership. Because Aquarius is the sign of the humanitarian, it's the sign of evolution, and it's the sign of I know. Now it's time for us to come to our knowing as to who we truly are as the original indigenous people and of the Americas, the oldest land on the planet. We are the originals. And when they first came here, they saw women, warrior women, the Amazons and the Sybils, like you said, they were still here. They all describe the women that was ruling in the Americas, the most ancient land, Mama, the most ancient Mama Bass. And her scepter of power was connected to, I'm going to keep bringing it back, Wakanda Springs. Wakanda Springs was the magical waters of the Bass, Mama Bass. It sit on the border of Kansas. Okay? So that is why I study energy. And when I look at, you have to pull energy to create spirit. That's a combination. Physical is one, individual, and spirit is collective. So what I do is I look at energy at a higher perspective where we've pooled a big energy. So that is why I always do the symbolism when it comes to anytime we get a group of people together, focusing their energy, energizing what it is, the powers that have been wants us to energize into the earth to manifest.
Indeed.
So, okay, I'm sorry. Right now, it's the resurrection of the sun. And it's just a cycle of energy. How we're coming from the matriarchal half, and then we spiral to the patriarchal half, where everything became external and masculine. And anytime we get into the Aquarian age, it's come back full circle to the mama again. So now we're going to see it come back through the Sybils to the matriarchal way of rulership, where we're now going to tap back into our magic and to our powers. And that is why we need our Sybils to step back up and now teach us that magic. We are now coming to our knowing as to who we are in order to step up to that power. That's where we're at right now.
Quick follow-up question. Something Shah Bliss said, aka Mah Mah Tea. Everybody doesn't have to answer if they want. A quick follow-up question before I get to the next question. When you talked about woman being put under a spell, the Sybils being put under a spell, I want to have an honest and transparent conversation without seeming disrespectful, because I want to talk about sex plays a huge role in dominating a nation, a gender, a race, or whatever. So in terms of a spell, when we're talking about the brothers betraying the sisters and the sisters, you know, the Sybils being put under a spell, Shah Bliss, did sex play a major part in that spell? And the reason why I ask is because when you get an adult, you hear terms like, and I want to be respectful, like for the brothers, a brother, if you hang with your brothers, they'll be like, oh, you pussy whoop. Or the sisters will be like, I got dickmatized or whatever. So sex plays a major role and just changing the mentality, the mind state spiritually of that person that you're with. So did that play a major role in the sisters, the Sybils, just allowing this betrayal to take place without really knowing or allowing it consciously?
Rape and molestation played the major role. It wasn't willingly sex. It was rape and molestation that was happening. The attack on the womb, because the womb holds the codes. It holds all the ancient memory of the planet. The Sybils held planetary memory.
Yeah.
Right. And they weren't new. These are, like Sister Myrah said, these are ancient women. We're focused on the name Sibyl Sybele is because it came from Rome. This is what they named them. But these was ancient women who hold codes. They were on the planet when the people were coming here interdimensionally and seeing what was here. When the Anunnaki was coming here, these women were here. Before the genetic splicing occurred, these women were here aligning planetary ley lines, or they say dragon lines, encoded. Now, when Sister Myrah was saying about the balance of each, they were, before there was even gender, there was energy of harmonics. We balanced each other with tone and frequency.
Excellent. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then these physical bodies, we were plasma light beings.
Right.
And it was feminine energy that was here. And the feminine body, she emitted from out the waters, out the air, out the fire. She's the element. She gave birth to all that you see. And then and so no beings actually came here. What they did was return here after they left and fractioned off and became splinter groups and splinter celestial beings. You know, the earth is not a round ball, and it's not flat either. It's multi-dimensional. And this realm was ruled by divine feminine energy, and her name was Teha Mareha, but the scriptures and everyone else call her Tiamat. This is an energy field. It's an energy force that she passed down, and she still lives in the waters and in the wombs of women. And this, so when you were saying is sex playing a role, the attack of rape played the role. The attack of hysterectomy plays the role. And mastectomies play a role in all the diseases that they attack on, especially melanated women.
Yes.
Because they were actually gates. When they say gatekeeper, they protect us. And you showed the sister Kwame, the bat, right? She ruled the underworld and these things. So when they had her on the coat of arms, right? These mothers, like, they know who these women were. And you utilize power on them because imagery is everything. Right? And so what happened was greed and lust and power, hungry, because it's like your womb has a lot of power. And how do we subdue it?
So my question for that was a follow-up question for Mah Mah Tea. The question for y'all would be, everybody would be, all right, so our brother Tariq Nasheed made a documentary, a wonderful documentary called Buck Breaking, where he talked about how the slave masters will buck break the brothers in the during that time to send a message to everybody. I'm gonna take the strongest brother that's out here. I'm gonna rape him in front of everybody just to send a message so I could control all of y'all. If Mah Mah Tea's talking about, you know, molestation and all of that, and that breaks the spirit, like buck breaking. And then also a phrase that I heard my brother Rod Hayes use is that it clouds the channel or it jams the frequency. You know, you got a radio and you jam the frequency. That molestation could jam the frequency of a woman who's a channeler. So
trauma.
Keeping exactly trauma. But with that being said, this is what's so interesting, Mah Mah Tea. A lot of the sisters that come on my platform, a lot of people, and who knows, the brothers too, because shit happens more than we think it does.
Oh yeah.
They didn't have experience. This is what's interesting. That jammed the channel in ancient times, but in modern times, a lot of people who got molested when they were young. A sister was on my channel a month ago. She said she got raped 5 times. She's totally tapped into the spirit world. It seems like the going through that at a young age people are being led into the spirit realm. So I want to ask, why in ancient times that jam, the channel, the circuit, totally messed up your connection to the spirit world. But now I'm seeing all these people coming in my channel. A lot of sisters, more than I ever thought. But the older I get, I'm like, damn, you got touched too? Damn, this is some crazy shit. I'm seeing them like, oh, they tapped into the spirit world after that happened to them. So what happened with that messed y'all up, or messed us up, or messed everyone up back in antiquity? But now it's happening, and I'm seeing a lot of people, it's turning a lot of people in to the spiritual information.
Trauma has an effect on people in many different ways. Okay. Basing upon what they're holding, their codes. Some women have a lot of scorpionic energy and know how to transmute trauma and become master healers. Okay. When you shut down, you go within. So it all depends on the individual. When those women were being traumatized or raped or molested, many fled. Many killed themselves before they allowed someone to take them. Many were forced into slavery. So it kind of went but when it's overlapped over and over and over again and splintered off, and then you have these different fractions take over. And now you're not just dealing with human beings. I think this is the part that's missing from the story. A lot of these people are not people. They are interbred extraterrestrial beings that come here to attack the fragments that was left from Tiamat. I can't get away from that. That's the common denominator. When we say mama, big mama, right? Yeah. We're talking about this energetic force that was the queen of this realm. Right. So they fragmented. Even her story of mass murder sounds similar to Osiris.
Yeah.
You know the story, right? They sliced her up. She's a part of the moon. She's a part of the Milky Way. She's a part of all of this. But what they didn't tell you is the bones and the blood is still in this realm. So that is the attack on that. And some keep it secret. Some go underground. But the gene code never goes away. It's always there. You have women who have strong intuition. Women still prophesy. But what happened was they blanket her in religion.
Yeah.
Right. So and then to add them into a system of hierarchy, because women didn't operate from a hierarchy. They operated from sovereignty. And that's the difference. Now, if you're seeing someone get raped and abused and this and that, you're going to some of them made a pact. Some of them signed a blood oath. Some of them married for protection of their families.
I'm about to pull something up. I'm sorry, y'all. My next question. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm about to pull up my next question. Go ahead.
So I can't speak for how do they deal with their trauma, because these days, so what you're saying today, they're tapping in. You're seeing more of a resurrection today. You're seeing a resurrection of memory from those who have been
resurrection. It's
right, sister, right? The cycle, this return of remembrance that's happening, that's being awakened through the trauma.
What is happening is the resurrection. We've gone through the cycle, the sun. When they talk about religion, they took that from the sun, going through the cycles, going through the spirals, the cycles, the resurrection of the sun, which is indicated by Leo, which is the balance to Aquarius. So now that we're evolving as new age rulers, that's what this whole new age is about. It's time for an evolution of a new age rulership out of an abuse of power to a humanitarian empowerment, Aquarius. Okay. But we have to come to our knowing as to who we are. That's why our ancestors left us the phrase, know thyself. You have to know your power in order to activate your power. Yeah, that's what's been hidden. Now it's being exposed, because part of going into the Aquarian age brought a Leo. The planetary ruler of Leo is the sun. The sun is full exposure. So now everything is being exposed that has been hidden, so we can step into the knowing of who we are as the ancient original rulers, and then since we come to that knowing, that is how we now activate that power. The sun has went through the 12 apostles or the 12 signs of the zodiac. It has done a completion of that. And anytime it completes, do a full 360-degree spiral, it's time for evolution to the next level, okay? Out of an abuse of power to a humanitarian empowerment, as the ancient rulers have reached their maximum of their abuse of power. That's the only sin there is in the spiritual reality, the abuse of power. They have become corrupted in their abuse of power, but they can only go 180 degrees. They've maxed out at their 180
Yes, they
degrees.
have.
So now we get the opposite balance where we go back into the feminine half, where we go back into the nurturing. The masculine half is the war. Aries, the age of Aries, warrior. That's when all this, turned around to a warrior type age, rather than the matriarchal, where everything was nurtured. But anytime we get into the Aquarian age, we've come back full circle to mama again. And now it's time to hop the fence to mama's half. And that is why now we're going to open back up to the magic. We're going to supersede the corruption of the abuse of power. That's the masculine half of this cycle of energy. That has now been completed. And it is now time for Asar to put on his penis. He is now being resurrected, where the son was the one who abused the mama, because energy unfolds to a dual balance of opposites. You only have mother and son, and then you have father and daughter, because it has to go a negative and positive, and then a positive and negative polarity. So mother and son, and then father and daughter. How we were wounded is the mother, what they did, Willie Lynch, is they killed off the son. They killed off the father in front of the mother. So she would smother. And remember, the mother is the water, and the son is the fire. They do the physical half. So the mother put an S in front of mother, the water, smothers the fire or the power of the sun, keeping him in his ego as a little boy, because they did that. They did that once they didn't want the son to grow into the father who protected the family.
Damn.
So for Willie Lynch, they showed where they killed off the father in front of the mother, so she would smother the fire or the power of the son, keep him in his ego as a little boy, so he wouldn't grow into the father and be killed as well. At the same time, opposites do the same. On the spiritual, the father, the air element, abandons the value of the daughter. Where the mother smothers the power of the son, the father abandons the value of the daughter. That is how they wounded us as a royal family of energy.
That is just one big dysfunctional family.
And now that we've gotten into the Aquarian age, it's time to reverse that again. How do we heal those wounds? Well, the mother smothers the power of the son, and the father abandoned the value of the daughter. Now we have to come back to where the mama, the mother becomes the mama, and the negative polarity is where we release the son. We back up and release the son, no longer smothering his power. We release him into his resurrection. Now he resurrects into righteous father's spirit, who then redeems the value of daughter earth or daughter character, you see. This is energy. What we're talking about when we're talking about the details, this is spiritual energy that is only now being manifested at the physical level. And that is the daughter component. She is the one who manifests the energy of Mama Universe, send her vessel in. She is the mama of us all. She loves us, but she's too omniscient to come down here to ground level and take care of her family. So she's sending her daughters, her vessels, to come in and manifest her love at the physical level. You see, to manifest that love. But she has to be redeemed in her value. That is where Asar puts on his 14th piece, his penis. He was cut down into 14 cycles of time. because the only sin spiritually is the abuse of power. And he was the last son. He's Sagittarius energy. You have Aries, you have Leo, then you have Sagittarius. Sagittarius represents a Sar. A Sar was cut down into the 14 cycles of time so he could mature in how to use his powers righteously without abusing them. And only when he was mature enough to learn how to use his powers righteously could he do his resurrection. And he is just now doing his resurrection. Asar is now doing the 14 pieces. I mean, I know, you know, I talk a lot about the Super Bowl. The 14th Super Bowl, the 59th Super Bowl is what it symbolized in this Super Bowl. Asar put on his 14th piece. He's now resurrecting. And what the first action Asar has to do in his resurrection is to redeem the value of his woman. Because that's what he rejected. Value of his woman. He got moved away by the sirens. Sirens seduced him away. He lost his mind with the sirens. Okay, but now he has to come back to the value of his woman and redeem her value. And that's what was symbolized, because we, in this Super Bowl, because it was the 14th Super Bowl, and this is actually what Kendrick Lamar symbolized in the halftime performance. He actually showed the redemption of the melanated woman.
Excellent.
Yeah, he did that with Caesar. He did it with Serena Williams, and Quiet as It's Kept. He did it with what's her name? The lady Marvin Gaye sang with. Tammy Terrell.
Okay.
Tammy Terrell was a Taurus, and you're on it when you talk about the Taurus, because Taurus and Scorpio is the energies that's going to represent this resurrection, the transformation and resurrection. We're in Taurus right now, and I say we're going to see the full fulfillment of this process in 6 months. When we get into Scorpio, the opposite of Taurus.
Vicki, I want you to close out that question. Sister Myrah, that's one of the most amazing energetic breakdowns I've ever heard in my life.
Well,
damn, Sister Myrah.
Wow. Universal.
Wow.
I know.
Vicky, close out that question, Vicki, before we move on. Vicki. Wow.
Yeah, and again, in terms of your question and sexuality, we have to remember, though, that sexual energy is energy. And it's creative energy. Yeah. It's a part of creation. It's a beautiful and glorious thing. So much so that we are brought into this realm through a glorious, hopefully, and of course, in some inglorious circumstances, but we're meant to be brought into this realm through what? A pleasurable act of sacred sex. Yes. And so it's not something that's crazy. And even if you want to go with the corrupted biblical narratives, right? What we understand is that it was more than one occasion where we found that angels tend to always be involved with the womb and with pregnancy. Yes, because the womb is not only physical or biological, it's also metaphysical. It's also a part of your electromagnetic field because it serves as a magnet. And for the womb of the woman in particular, when the fetus is formed, right? Before the first few days, it doesn't have a heartbeat. What's going on there? You understand? It's only when that electricity comes and that heartbeat hits that this thing becomes human. But what's happening? You understand? So the womb also has an ability to magnetize souls. It's a celestial gateway as well. That's why I always teach that the womb is also more than just physical, it's metaphysical as well. And we can do magic with our energetic and electromagnetic wombs as well. In terms of, I forget something that you were saying about power and negative something or another. I forgot, to be honest, some of the things that we were saying. One of the things I wanted to say is about, when she mentioned about the resurrection, I totally agree that that's what's happening now. When you were asking what's happening with, in terms of sexual violations of times past and currently, it seems like those that have currently been abused, it seems like it presses us into spiritual. Well, it's the time for that. As they mentioned, it's the resurrection. We're in that phase of being calibrating into this to this particular moment, and I'll use this as a quick analogy. You know, I'm not a sports person. I'm not into all that. And I'm no astrologer or astronomer. So I leave that to the professionals. But the one sport, if you would, that I could stand to watch years and years ago with my ex-husband at the time, we had to go to a boxing party. And he knows I don't like any of that stuff. But to be a good wife, you know, we bought some little chicken and stuff and just, you know, hung out the party and smiled and stuff.
Chicken wings, some chicken wings. I know. French fries, you know what I mean?
Okay, that's not my thing. But to be supportive, you know, my man and stuff, group, he was invited.
Yes, ma'am.
And so what I found is I actually enjoyed that particular boxing match because I didn't have to know like rules and stuff. I knew whoever had the biggest black eye, whoever was huffing and puffing the hardest, they likely gonna lose, right? So I didn't have to know about all these different terms. But something happened in a couple of different ones that we went to. In one of the boxing parties we went to, we spent all this time getting food and all this stuff, and we left a few minutes later. You know why? Because it was a knockout in the first round.
Okay.
Where are you going with this?
Like the Mike Tyson fight.
And another boxing party we went to, that thing went, I think, 10, 11, 12, whatever, how many rounds. It went almost all of the rounds. And what I learned, in addition to the fact that you can go through all the rounds and still come out winning, even if you don't necessarily get a knockout in the first round, that's a different story, right? That's a different lesson. But when I was researching sometime later about when a boxer releases a punch, it hurts, right? But if you are an alchemist, and if you have gone through a tumultuous journey, and this is how I like in my life, through prison and injustice and disease that could have led to death and so many other things, yes? You realize that when you get that punch, it's not just this thing that takes me out. I'm receiving power.
Okay, now.
Because when he released that punch, he was actually giving me energy, but it was so much, my body reacted in a way to where it hurt. But if I can hold this thing and receive this thing and let it do its thing in me, I come out.
Okay, now.
Y'all got
now. With a bomb drops. With a bomb drops.
The ancient mother is recalibrating as a heavyweight.
Go ahead, girl.
You understand?
Go ahead. Let's go.
And that's the balance of polarities you're talking about, honey. Energy unfolding through a negative and positive polarity, which means no pain, no gain. And to the same extent, the pain will be the same extent the gain. Or it's always the darkest before the dawn, which means we have to get through the work in order to get to the best. But my favorite is as bad as it's been, is as good as it's about to get.
Come on,
You know what?
Y'all on one tonight.
It's a full moon, baby. It's Scorpio.
No pain, no gain.
No gain.
Okay?
Go ahead.
They're contingent on two halves make a whole. So you do your half, your pain half, the negative polarity. And now when you complete that, that activates the opposite gain, reward, and physical pain.
Break that down. Break that down.
Activate the spiritual gain in return and in opposition, where you get. So each half is 180 degrees, where they come together to make a 360-degree spiral, which opens up a vortex for access to the next level.
Let's time travel now. Sure, you know, open the vortex. May I ask? May I please ask? What is everybody's sign? What's your sign, Sister Vicki? May I ask?
Well, they call me. If you use it, look, I'm not good with all that. But
your birthday. When's your birthday, baby?
I'm saying that because I'm considered to be a Capricorn. I guess it's that tropical astrology, but then someone told me that I'm really Sagittarius in the battle.
That's okay. What's your birthday, honey? Just the day.
January 2nd.
What is it?
It's January 2nd, Capricorn.
You're a Capricorn. Okay, don't let them obscure all the rest. What are you?
That's all good. I'm a Cancer.
What are you, Mama T?
I'm a Cancer.
Okay.
Opposite.
I got two Capricorns in the building.
Yeah, but I'm January 8th.
Oh, mercy.
Okay.
The 8th.
Okay. Yeah. And Brother Rich?
Virgo! Virgo! Virgo!
Now let me tell you this, okay? Vicky,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
are Capricorn Cancer. Okay, Mama T, you are Cancer
Cancer
Capricorn.
Capricorn. Okay.
And I'm Capricorn Cancer. And Brother Rich, you know you are Virgo Pisces. That is your spiritual energy. Your opposite sign is your spiritual energy. And when you, as the physical vessel, bounces with your spiritual energy, that is how you complete that first spiral. That opens up that vortex. Two halves make a whole, holistic. If it's not whole, it's not real. I don't talk about one sign without its opposite anymore. I believe in 6 axes, not 12 individual signs. Okay, so you have to balance with your opposites, and it goes Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio. That's what's doing the resurrection, you guys, Taurus and Scorpio. And then we got Gemini, Sagittarius, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, Aquarius, and Virgo, Pisces. Those are the 6 axes of energy.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to, wow, this is, oh man. Family, make sure y'all like this video. Make sure we're gonna have, I'm gonna leave you all, everybody's contact info, I'm gonna leave at the end. Make sure y'all follow. Like I said, Vicki, amazing platform. Mah Mah Tea, amazing platform.
Thank you.
Sister Myrah, amazing services. You got to go to her website. We're gonna give all that. I think
Brother Rich, amazing platform as well.
Brother Rich, amazing.
Yes,
that's right. That's right.
Yo, so listen, y'all.
Yes.
Some of the things I read about the oracles when, just looking up, reading, not the oracles, the Sybils, which are the oracles, ancient oracles. They said they will enter states of ecstatic frenzies, speaking the tongues, prophesize the future. And when sometimes when they spoke, they would often seem like they were out of their mind, but they were mad. But to the ancients, but to the ancients, they knew that this was the indication that they was tapped in, as we would say. So I want to show you 2 examples because about this concept before we start the show. I'm talking to Mah Mah Tea and Vicki, and we talking about daughters of the Sybils, and I want to show 2 examples from 2 completely different spiritual systems, and that's why I pulled the video up by accident when Mah Mah Tea was talking. Let me show you this real quick. This is from a Christian woman from a church. Let me show you this real quick. Hold up. Fire! Fire in the name of Jesus. Let me play that again. Let me play that one more time, y'all.
Yes.
Fire! Fire in the name of Jesus. All right, now let me play. So that's the Christian church. They're more into, they will call us New Age. That's just the term. We're just talking about terms. Not saying we got to follow those terms. But this is a sister who's been on my platform, Erin Lyons. I want to play you something that she does. That's in the Christian church. They will call that speaking in tongues. Now, Erin Lyons in the New Age community, quote unquote, they would use the term light language. Let me play y'all something. All right, so with that being said, if we're talking about the reincarnation of the Sybils or daughters of the Sybils, we see in the sisters in the church doing the speaking in tongues. We see Erin Lyons in the quote unquote New Age community doing light language or whatever. Is this the question I have for y'all? Oh, is this the same language that Mah Mah Tea? Stop laughing, Mah Mah Tea. Is this the same language that the Sybils use being played out in different spiritual systems in modern times? And if so, how do we fully tap into this? Because we're doing it in modern times, we did it in ancient times, but how do we fully tap into it? That, and is this the same language that they were tapping into, that they said they were speaking in frenzies? They look like mad women. Is this the same thing, y'all? Talk to me, please.
Yeah,
absolutely. Hell yeah. You know what it is? It's not necessarily what they're saying. It's the tone. It's frequency.
Yes.
It's vibration.
Yeah.
Right? They could be saying Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. Or it's tone, it's frequency, it's the intention behind what they're doing. The sister with the light code, shout out to her sister. I know I Am God Frequency. She got a whole crew with them. That's all they do. They talking like codes. It's tone, frequency, because what it does is unlocks you.
Yes.
It's about unlocking. They'll say Freena's casting out the whole, the devil and all kind of stuff that they're saying. Same intention, different language.
Yes.
Okay. But it's about tone and frequency.
They had they would do, it would be like the second one showed it more.
Yeah.
That's the type of language.
Yeah, it's a language. Absolutely.
In antiquity, it's like and that still was a step down from, telepathy.
Our language was telepathy. Exactly. Yes.
Telepathy. That was even a step down.
That's coming back too. I'm sorry, sister. I know Sister Vicki wants to say. I want to say this one thing before about telepathy. Right? See these languages. You heard the sister from the Christian church. She's talking in tongues, right? She just it's coming from inside her, the tone. Then the other sister talking light language. We already back to telepathy because all the black folks got the download to stay out the SHIT about what all the stuff that was going on, right? You ain't see all the stuff with the president and all the stuff. I'm gonna stay out this one, keep going. House. Everyone got the crown low. Shout out to Top Phoenix. Everyone got the crown low to stay out of it. So the telepathy language is already back. Go ahead, sister.
Yeah,
I say I love that. What I wanted to say is when certainly because I speak in tongues, light language. I also like to access, like I have my album that's coming out about the Om sound meditation that I did a few years ago, and but I asked a Black Vedic mantra, a professional mantra person to do that, the actual sound of Om behind it, and then I used what I call prophetic language, which the entire album is 20-something minutes, but it's no English. You understand? Wow, so he adds the ancient Vedic language to it, and I do my sort of prophetic impromptu in the beginning of it to open up the gateways. Now, why am I bringing this up? For a couple of different reasons. When you talked about the Sybils, you were reading about them, you were saying something about that, and they were talking about how they went into these trance.
Yes.
Some of those trances that they went into, Brother Rich, sometimes they happened organically where they were induced into this stage of trance, and other times they actually partook of certain mixtures.
Yes.
Liquids, and there were secret ingredients and herbs, and they went into a trance, and some of their bodies shook, some of them fell to the floor, and some of them, a lot of times, they had actual aids to write what they would say in those ecstatic states. And then sometimes they themselves would write them. So this was the envy of the world in terms of a lot of their text. And this notion of the Bible in every major religion, Islam, Christianity, name it, all came from our ancient mothers, directly or indirectly, all of them. I'm talking about Vedic stuff, Indian, even one of the messiahs that it was believed to be prophesied about, and they were talking about Krishna. Some believe that that's what some of the Sybils were actually referring to. There's not a people on the planet, because we're the mothers of civilization. We have all the mitochondria comes back to us. You understand? Right. So this is where the codes come from. Everybody. So with books, with history, with all of that, we got the codes, the keys. So we're done with that little talk right there, just for the people that don't get that. So with that being said, those ecstatic states, those ecstatic trances that they went into were sometimes even beyond perhaps what we saw there. Now, why am I bringing this up? And that a lot of times these things were recorded, they were written down. This is the reason why how they prophesied destiny. They were known as the women that prophesied the fates. They were even known as that, right? This is the reason why world leaders, government leaders, military leaders, as well as the local folks would come to them for solutions. Now, what does Vicki call these states? And why would they behave that way? And they ended up being mocked for that later. Yes, watch this. When you are receiving information from another dimension, and this is how Spirit showed it to me. Because I can get in strange states. I'm sure my sisters can acknowledge this, that when you get into an ecstatic state where you are outside of yourself and the people call you crazy. They call me that if I'm banging the gavel too much. That's why some folks get tricked.
Yo, be on fire.
I let the gavel. I let the gavel trick. This actual case, this revelation, some told me later that this had to do with some secret society. I don't know nothing about that, baby. 20-some years ago, I was in a state of prayer, in an ecstatic state. I went into a trance and came down this gavel of my word. And when I was in the middle of this ecstatic state, angels, a lot of angels don't have wings, some do. These had wings, they were wing to wing. And I was speaking, they were taking notes of what I was saying on legal pads. And I called them down and they were writing and performing what I was saying. And at that time is when Spirit led me into, y'all ain't ready for this.
Tell us, we ready.
Russia and Ukraine.
Oh, see.
Ooh, don't even go there.
Crack open the code.
So much.
And it didn't make sense, you understand?
Yes.
Why would they tell me 20 years ago about Russia and Ukraine? But I wasn't just there. I was handling world business. I was legislating. So I brought the gavel with me online, and people don't even understand that I'm doing magic even with that. But let me say this about these ecstatic states. When they teach us how to, in school, what? Spell, right?
Yes.
That makes sense for general language so that we can have a basis to communicate, right? But folks, look at me. If I mess up my subject-verb agreement at times. But what I understand, beloved, the reason why I can still know how to properly and grammatically say stuff, and the reason why I can go and look at the diacritical remarks, yes, marked, and pronounce it the way that they have it there in the parentheses there, but I still say it the way I'm feeling it, is because when they teach us sometimes how to properly spell, they know in terms of the tone, they don't want you to hit a teach you how to spell to keep you spelled down. Beyond the spell bound, but they tell me, and I say it wrong. You hear it right.
Go ahead. Hit the thing, sister. Hit the thing. Pop. Go ahead.
They teach you how to spell to keep you spellbound.
Yes.
They have like an infrared signal. And if they see your energy.
And if you have a guest that says the wrong word, notice how you'll be more focused on how she did not grammatically and correctly say that versus what she was trying to energetically release. But they don't want to do that because when I say it, quote unquote, wrong, when I say it differently, what happens? It hits different.
Right. It changes the frequency.
And if you are bound in a program, and if you're set in the matrix, because your subconscious automatically receives things when certain things are said in a certain way, monotone, right? But if I say it, if I hit it, I'll shake that ish up in you, and you gotta come again. And then Vicki takes you talking about her. I take you misunderstanding me until that energy settles later. One other point. When you are ascending in a plane, the plane often shakes, yes?
Yes.
When we see them get in rocket ships, we see that the vessel shakes. It does weird and strange things. It's uncomfortable. It makes us sick. Watch this. The reason I believe, and this is how Spirit showed it to me, that the Sybils went into that trance state, and I understood now why, even in my prayer time, why I move into certain states and I obtain stuff that I don't know, is because when you're in a different frequency, just like when you're on a plane, things can't be normal because you're in a different sphere. You understand?
You're in a different dimension, honey.
When they're receiving the download, you can't be normal. Like, I just got something. It's got to be.
Okay.
And they sit there looking at you. You go wait 30 minutes if I make you.
Yes.
It shall be on this day.
Yeah.
On the 2nd of March, you will hear these words. It's got to be like that because the energy is coming in such a way. Your vessel, your body is receiving an energy from a cosmic dimension. So you're not going to receive it the same way that a plane is not going to go up straight. It's not going to always be smooth, right? Because you're moving through another sphere. Yes. So we have to keep that in mind. What else am I going to say? And I'm done. They went into these trance states because they were receiving classified information. They ascended into a war room, into a spiritual command center to pull down information, which is why government leaders came to them, which is why military leaders came to them, which is why the local tribes folks came to them when there was a plague, when there was an outburst, when someone needed an answer. So they had the ability to get classified information beyond Howard and Harvard. Yes?
Yes.
Similarly to the Sunday school story of the Josephs of the world.
Yes.
At the end of the day, Pharaoh went to all of his most intelligent people in the government to get an answer for his dream. And they, with all of their skill and expertise, could not answer his questions. And so they had to go to a felon, baby. They had to go get him out of the prison.
Right. Yeah.
To pull information from another dimension. This was the norm for our mothers. They had command, access, sanction into these other dimensions. And they had to get this word, which was their most prized possession. Because it's the word, that cosmic dust, that brought all things into being. And that word will change the trajectory of every single thing. So this is the reason why the Sibyl oracles, the mouth of the Sybils, the text of the Sybils, the prophecies of the Sybils, the world lived by and killed them over and wanted to install and took their sacerdotal seat, which is why their world has come to an end, because they only went so far with the word they received. But the trick of spirit was that you can only get so far because the codes are in her. The power is in her. That divine lineage is in her. So you're going to have her in order for you to take or bring into a new world. You understand? As I teach folks, and I'm done, the only difference between the word world and the word word is the letter L. And of course, there's no spiritual system, there's no religion that doesn't put an emphasis on prayer, on mantras, on sound, on energy, on frequency, right?
Music.
Every spiritual system in one way or another emphasizes the power of word and sound. Yes. So in the beginning was the word. All things were brought into existence by the word. And that's what it's going to require, but a new word to bring a new word into being, because that's the matter. That's that cosmic dust.
Facts. Absolutely.
Amazing. I mean, Vicki, I started out the show by talking about your fire. I've never, like, you will burn a continent down.
Okay.
Vicki,
all right. But that's what's needed.
Sister Myrah, connecting with Sister Myrah. Sister Myrah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know what happened. Things must be getting too hot.
Yeah, too hot in here. Yes.
All right, so
the vibration gets too high, they will disconnect us.
It's true.
They will, because the technology becomes inferior to the vibration that we're rising to, and it can't contain that energy. We're superseding, like we said, they have infrared type of lights where they can see your vibration goes above that level, and they will interfere. They will come and interfere on that. They don't want this information out. You see,
I want to.
It's too late.
It is. Mama Tea, it is.
Because it's going to come through to the subconscious anyway. That's what they don't have control of. We're in the conscious realm, you see. We've been in, that's the fathers, the conscious realm. But now we're accessing the subconscious. The spirit moves inside out, not outside in. You guys.
Yes,
all
ma'am.
starts from within.
Real.
You see, we're energy transmitters as well as receivers.
Yeah.
But it's what we send out as to what we spiral back. Spirit is spiral. And if you're sending it out at 20%, you're going to spiral it back at 20%. If you're sending it out at 80%, you're going to spiral it back at 80%. And I love what Mah Mah Tea said about the harmony, because that is, we're energy, and the universe is vibration.
Yes,
And the
ma'am.
more we harmonize with the energy of
Right.
the universe,
Come on.
the higher,
Yeah.
the deeper we can take that into the subconscious.
Yeah.
Right.
To see what's hidden internally. Okay? And then the deeper we can harmonize and take it to its highest level, that's
With
the
the
level we're going to receive.
Infinity. Yes, it's infinity.
Return.
There's no
Yeah.
maximum. There's no
Absolutely.
ceiling.
That's
We
it.
have no firmament.
Yeah.
And once we really
Absolutely.
understand
Come
that,
on
We
now.
bring
we're
it back.
beyond that.
Yes.
Someone said it, mentioned it early. They've reached their critical point.
Yes,
They can't
yeah.
go beyond it.
No.
Yes.
So words, Sister Vicki, tone
Yes.
and frequency are extremely important right now.
Come
And
on.
a lot of us in our community are repeating their program like mantras.
Yes.
And we have to not
Exactly.
do that, because here's
Absolutely.
the thing. They've reached the critical point, and there's only one or two things that can happen:
Yes.
Yes.
collapse
Come
Yes.
on.
Yes.
or reversion. They
Yeah.
revert.
Mm.
So when we say things like great reset, we can't say that, because that's giving them permission to start the shit all over again.
Absolutely.
And we can't do that. So we
Mm.
must say we are reconciling, we are
Mm.
remembering, right? We are returning to source. We are
Mm.
going beyond their reach. When we were talking telepathically to each
Yes.
other, they can't monitor that.
No,
They
they
don't know what the
can't.
hell to do with
They
that.
can't do that.
Mm.
That's
They're
why they don't want
confused
us opening
right
up
now.
to that.
They're
Yes.
they're watching because they don't know what to do. So they want to cast more word spells for
Come
us
on.
to say, because the melanin holds weight. The frequency of a melanated voice,
Yes.
for one, carries, it reverberates, it
Real talk.
ripples. So if we're saying what they're programming us to say, they just sit back and watch it happen.
Mhm.
But if we say the reverse,
Mm.
we are recalibrating.
Yes.
Because
Mm.
as they collapse, we
Mm.
quantum leap
Yes.
Come
up
on.
out of here. Shout
Come
out to
on.
Quantum Fest
I say
2025.
their
We quantum
Beautiful.
leap.
our
So-
rise is
I
their
say.
demise.
Love it.
Hello,
Simultaneous.
and
Shame.
rhyming. This
Our
is why
rise, their
rapping.
demise. You
This is
see.
why rapping and rhyme was
Come
so
on.
important in the music industry. Because
Yes.
when you rhyme, Sibyl spoken rhyme. They the original rappers, honey.
Come exactly.
Sibyl spoken rhyme.
Yes.
And they wrote their. What do you think when witches cast their spell, it rhymes,
It
right?
rhymes.
Think about it.
Yes.
Well, witches is just a derogatory term for Sibyl, for real,
Yeah.
for real.
Yes.
So
Indeed.
when we wrote our rhymes on
Like-
Bailey,
Mirror, mirror on the wall, like that type shit.
facts, all that,
Hey,
Come on.
all
Come
that.
on.
Mirror on the wall.
We the original rappers out here. I'm
Yes.
trying to tell folks this. So when you say
hey,
things
I
with
always
rhymes,
say
they hit
that,
notes.
that mirror on the wall was the
That's real.
Yo.
yeah, that's that non-melanated. That's where the melanated man gave the non-melanated woman her illusion
The
of
game.
her beauty. You
The
see,
game, yeah, the game, yeah.
that's why they say Snow White. You
All
know,
that.
it's really
Come
Snow
on.
White.
Right.
You know, in
Snow
other
White.
words, mirror, mirror on
Black
the wall.
ice out
Who's the
here.
fairest of them all? You see.
Right.
Mm.
Indeed.
And they're getting that reflection, that illusionary reflection, you know, in them being, see, everything is opposite. Their standard of beauty is light or white, thin, and young.
Mhm.
But the opposite is the true epitome of beauty, because it describes Big Mama Universe, which is black, which is voluptuous, which indicates fertility and fruitfulness, and it's also ancient,
Voluptuousness.
Ancient.
All that. Yeah.
ancient, voluptuous, and hidden. That is the
Yes.
true beauty.
There
And
you go.
they've taken the opposite of that, and that's where they became
Inversion.
the sirens,
Yes.
you know, and programmed our men to believe, you know, it's about light, being white. It's about being thin. It's about being young.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really the opposite. We're in the land of illusion, you guys.
Yes.
Inversion.
in the land
Yeah.
of
In the
illusion.
mirror. We're
Yes.
in the
Hey.
mirror.
Yes.
Right.
Listen, Myrah, listen. Monique tried to tell Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
Try to tell leave them young girls
Real
alone.
talk.
Yeah.
Real talk.
Try to tell Shannon. He wouldn't listen. He
Real
would not.
talk.
Y'all never listen. I'm
That's
sorry.
it. That's my thing. They should have been listening from way back.
From
You know,
back in the day,
wow,
Jay.
we
We be
seen
trying
it.
to tell y'all.
Yeah.
After all these examples, I don't know, and I don't want to. We got way more important things to talk about besides Shannon Sharp. All these examples, I don't know why brothers like Shannon Sharp still don't understand this shit.
Yeah.
Because it's the ego, right? The ego and pride. And the word of a woman has been belittled because he doesn't recognize who the oracles are.
Hold on, y'all. I gotta cut y'all off because I was about to say something, and then I cut myself off, and I got another question, but I want to get to this question before I get to that question. This is what you call channeling when the spirit's like, "Nigga, say this right now." Where does the term "motherfucker" come from? Because I was about to say Shannon Sharp is a motherfucker, but I'm like, hold up, the mother. We just finished venerating the mother, and I'm like, I can't say motherfucker right now. Where does that term even come from? That just came to me. Let's get that out the way. Let's get that out the way. Where does the term motherfucker come from? And why are people still saying it in their consciousness? Please, let's get this out the way.
It's a spell. Look at what it says. Look at what it does. Right? You break down the last word, fuck her.
Fuck the mother.
So it's a double offense.
Yes.
Right? Mother, fuck her. Like, listen to what you're saying and what we're repeating, right? So if words are spell, right, it could, some say it comes from slavery when they created the incest between the breeding, right? That's your mother. Go F her, right? So these what were we saying the word F? What the F word? Like before all of this, right? Think about the power that word holds when you mad at somebody. You say that. Right. So these are more binding spells, more binding things when we say that. So we say it unconsciously because it's in our subconscious mind.
Yes.
So we need to really purge that from our subconscious mind.
Dr. Francis Chris Welsing speaks on that.
Right out of my mouth. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Chapter on that, and she'll tell you that when it's the other way around, when it's the non-melanated, melanated woman, that is what his aim is to do, is to debase her, Yes, so that's what he will end up doing, so that's what he is projecting. See, our men, I look at energy, our men are air and fire, and we're in the time of air and fire in the illusion. So they have more in common with this society than the women, because we're earth and water, when it comes to the larger scheme of things. So that's why they adapt more to the ways and the mind, the thinking of that non-European. As our men try to get more adapted into being accepted in this reality, they took on those traits and those thoughts of thinking about us in the same way the white man thinks about his woman or his mother or whatever. So they've taken on and adapted those attitudes.
Oh, he's the original. Oh,
he's the original.
Yes.
I mean, he's the original mother F her.
That's exactly right.
The original.
Hey, listen, y'all. I want to explore. Wow, what a show. We are obviously tapped into a lot of spiritual concepts. I want to explore the concept of reincarnation, because we're using words like daughters of the Sibyl. I want to explore the concept of past life regressions, because a lot of individuals, that's something Kendrick Lamar even mentioned on his last album, where you get a reading from somebody and they'll tell you about your past life and what you went through, and they'll tell you about a certain karmic debt that you have from that past life. So I did a show with a sister named Miss Blue the other day. I think about Thursday or Friday. Shout out to Miss Blue, amazing epic show. Miss Blue told a story about a sister who was, I think she says she tapped into her past life. In her past life, she was she was big into talking to black people about slavery. In her past life, she was a slave master. What I want to ask y'all is, do you believe that? Do you think that it's possible that, when we talk about the Sybils and we talk about the rise of the divine feminine energy, do you think that some of the sisters, the queens that are into the divine feminine energy movement, the information on the Sybils, maybe they have been maybe they was men in their past lives, and they're trying to correct their karma by alerting the world of what they did in their past life. So this is why they're teaching about the Sybils, or about the divine feminine energy, or maybe about female rights, or whatever you may have it.
Well, I'm going to leave that to my dear sisters here to do that,
Yes.
because that's not my my area of past life regression or any of that. My my thing is with the Sybils, and I'm going to say with my own experience, is understanding that I know that I'm more than what meets the eye. I know that I operate past, present, and future, and currently in multiple dimensions. And this was something that was understood and known by the Sybils, about the Sybils rather, is that they commanded power in what I continue to say, the trilateral spheres. The celestial realm is what I called it, the terrestrial realm, which is Earth, and the subterrestrial realm. Yes, I bring that up because not just metaphorically, but literally, they could call the gods down.
That's right.
Literally, they walked with these other types of entities and beings. Literally, they prophesied on earth. Literally, as we mentioned earlier, they called up the dead. So this is important to understand. Automatically, we understand that they're more than what meets the eye, and separate from them, and including them at the same time, we understand that we're made up of stardust, yes? Which means that the celestial realm, they're also our ancestors, our celestial ancestors. But what does that mean? That means, and I've taught this for years, like in my ancestors webinar that I was doing some years ago, when I started some years ago, and I'm no scientific metaphysician, but when spirit gives me something to download, there are always receipts that come with it later, or that form because of something that I'm given, which is why Brother Rich knows I always say I know stuff that I don't know, not because I'm a professional in that area, but because these are things I'm given and compelled to do, say, or embody. With that being said, by us being stardust and more than what meets the eye, that means that that's a part of our genetic material, because this is the stuff that they put on the side of the space vessels before they go out of space, our melanin. Yes? This is what we understand through Henrietta Lacks, right? And the story of her, what they call her eternal cells that are still in existence today, this Black woman cells that are eternal, that are responsible for all sorts of what? Medical breakthroughs in cancer, technological breakthroughs, and that are literally out of space. But again, why would they put melanin on the side of a so-called rocket ship? Yes, in order to explore the unknown realms. We're more than what meets the eye. And plus, some of our ancestors actually said that we were star people, that we come from that realm. The question is, what do we do with that? And that's a part of our DNA and our makeup that's clearly laid dormant, that we need to activate and to utilize and to integrate. Yes, we need these energies that are coming, that are these more potent energies that are from these other dimensions. Why? So that we can anchor them on earth. Yes, so that we can remake the earth, because it requires a more superior material. Now, I'm bringing that up in this instance quickly in terms of this notion of, again, I'm going to leave it to them to talk about the past life regressions and these sorts of things. Do I believe that I'm more than what meets the eye, and that I in other ages played a different role? Yes, I know that spiritually for certain. So to answer that part of the question, yes, but specific to the Sybils, there's something that's interesting here that I want to say. Under the section that says they were casting out demons and calling up the dead, dear brother, and I've talked about this before, right? We've heard this said related to this notion of Jesus. It says here, however, it was originally the Sybils prior to Christ who were hailed for giving sight to the blind, curing lameness, epileptics, deaf mutes, and lepers. They were said to have, quote, cast out demons and even to raise up the dead. She says the last reference is probably meant to call up and materialize the spirit of the dead. And then, of course, she goes on to give an example of one of the Sybils. But she says something right under that, Brother Richard, I want you to hear. It says the Sybils were also believed to be, are y'all ready? Immortal.
Oh, facts. Facts.
And never die. In one account, it was believed that their spirits, and this is a quote here, after death went into the air and became the power of divination by omens and soothsayings, and that her body was turned into earth and grew up, into herbs.
Ooh. Ooh,
That's powerful.
So important when we integrate herbs in our magic. Yes.
Yes.
When we're
And
talking
natural
about
healing.
air, which was
Yeah.
I wasn't even conscious of this when Spirit downloaded revelations recently to me about abundance out of thin air.
Yes.
And I'm teaching this in my monthly mastermind school. And I'm like, I don't look. This is Mother Myrah's Sister Myrah's thing about the air signs and all. Look, I know the basic. I'm the Capricorn here, and they tell me I'm Sagittarius. I look at some of those stuff, but I don't limit myself to that because of how Spirit moves me with my particular spiritual system. So I give credit to all of that. Mine is just different. You understand? So, so I said, what am I talking about? The air and stuff. Watch this. So money, this notion of abundance and resources and manifestation out of thin air, it's been a breakthrough series. And I just can't tell you, got to be a part of my school to get this juice. This series is just out of this world. Watch this. But I will say this. There's this African brother who they're saying they're protecting in Africa. He has released his car. Have y'all heard about this black brother in Africa that's released a car that's given even Elon Musk?
Oh yeah, the electric. Yeah.
Watch this, Brother Rich. His car. Calm down, Vicki. His car doesn't need any energy,
right?
Because it runs off the atmosphere.
Yes.
Stop.
Man, y'all ain't hearing me.
Yes, we hear you.
We hear you, sis. Yes, we do.
We're getting ready to find out that all this stuff has already been here.
That's
what they stole from us in the first place.
Right. The technology has never left. Right.
They're just now able to tap in and manifest this stuff, as if they've created it. They found it. When they got here, they found all this stuff. Everything. They covered it up and they hid it from us. And then they bring it back out like it's technology.
I'm gonna give you one thing. We went to a botanical place that I happened upon after a glorious day yesterday on this beautiful Mother's Day. And I know it wasn't just them; it was those nature spirits that led me there. Watch this. Went in there and I bought this plant. And I said, why is this in this dry glass? And the owner of the shop was there. And so I said, well, I need to understand this. So he showed me, blessing, hand me this paper. He showed me, I said, well, how's this thing alive? Just sit here dry like this bunch of stuff. And it's this big. I ain't finna show y'all this for my school. This is my babies. This for my students. So I'm gonna show them, watch this. I said, Spirit don't play because I'm doing a back-to-back series on this. I know I'm mad. Watch this. He said, oh, these plants, that paper that's stapled right there. These plants, watch this. So I ain't lying. Thank you. I had to take a screenshot. And then he said, oh, I'll give you this because I purchased quite a few. We purchased quite a bit of things. Watch this. Can y'all see this? So I ain't lying. People be thinking, so I ain't lying. Can y'all see the title of this? What does this paper say?
Airplane.
Wait. What?
It's an airplane.
Wow.
What? No. Are you reading it right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
reading it right?
Yes, ma'am.
Watch this. Are you reading it? I told them I'm not going to show them even a plant. I told them watch this.
Oh, shucks.
Did you see that? Blessing?
Oh boy.
Take it to blank out here.
What did you say?
Go ahead. To the next, Mama Tea.
It's going. I gotta stop talking.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
This is my life. I couldn't make it up if I tried.
I know. Believe me, I can relate.
Right.
This air plant is called a Tillandsia species. Y'all, come on now. This is the light that went out. The energy is so high. Is there anything we can do? Because I'm not gonna be able to do the show.
Don't stop. You the light, baby. You the light.
I say.
Yes, ma'am.
The plant is only supposed to be soaked. Y'all, watch this. It's supposed to be soaked once a week in the bowl for just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Watch this. Once or twice a week. You shake it out. The more light and heat on the air plants receives, the more moisture is needed. Do not use distilled water. He told me just leave it just like that, and this plant stays alive based on the air. And all I need to do is dip it once a week in water. It absorbs it. And he made sure that he told me don't water, make sure that water doesn't get on the root, the very part, the bottom of it. He said, because these grow. I promise this ain't never happened before. This is not happening live on no TV like this. This is crazy. Y'all hear me?
Hallelujah.
What you say, Brother Rich?
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Can we put this lamp over here? Thank you. And I'm just making the point that whenever we do media, what do we call it when they're live?
On air?
What you say?
On air.
What you say?
On air.
Yes. Now where am my Sunday school folks at? Y'all, we give more credit to the enemy because we call him the prince of the power of the
airwaves.
Watch this. Yep. This is important because there's something in the atmosphere. Oh, yes. There's something that we use from the atmosphere, which I'm gonna be quiet about. And even this thing here, which is wet, moisture, and wind. If you put your hand in front of your mouth, yeah. Mm-hmm. And how we form and call and shape things by this atmosphere that's already in us. The stuff that's in our mouth is made up of the stuff outside of us. Yes. I'm going to stop there. I just wanted to read that quote that I read to you minutes ago about the Sybils because I got off, but it's still about what they said here. The Sybils were also believed to be immortal and never die. In one account, it is believed that their spirits, quote, after death, went into the air and became the power of divination by omens and soothsayings, that her body was turned into earth and grew up into herbs. I'm gonna leave that magic right there.
That's
powerful.
That's
boom.
I look different, y'all, because this is a different type of traditional lamp.
We ain't worried about all that. We ain't worried about all that, honey. This is tones and frequencies that's coming through. That's what we resonating on, tone and frequency. So that was so powerful about what you said about Sybils. That's right. What do you think they get immortality from? Right, the immortal one. Right. We never die. Right, we transcend or we transmute. Now, when you say something about past, we may get new bodies. We may inhabit new bodies. When you asked about genders, the soul has no gender. We're all things, right? When you ask about reincarnation, many come here and have been all things, everything to be. We were once one anyway. Right. So we didn't have male, female the way that we think. We have masculine and feminine, right? And that's a different. This is energy.
Yes.
Right.
This is the densest we've ever been. This is the
right here.
We're just the vessels who manifest that energy.
Right. Exactly. So gender was a part of a split, genetic splicing, if you will, to create division and war and hierarchy amongst us. But as for your question, all things, yes, we're all things. We reincarnate, we come back. I have a personal opinion on everyone that's alive now was everyone that was alive then.
Before. And the same family members and loved ones you were with then are the same ones you're with now.
We're all playing this
different
role,
bodies,
right?
You've been with the
and
same
some have soul contracts.
Yes.
Karmic contracts they're fulfilling. And some are here to break those contracts.
Yes.
See, some people think you're bound by a contract. Contracts can be broken, breached, renegotiated, terminated, rescinded. All of these things. You don't realize you have the power just by your word, speaking it, denouncing it into existence. That's even the power.
The way you
think. Right. So Aquarius is an air element, right? Right. So we're going to from water, which is emotion, right? Sensitivity, receptivity, magneticism, magnetic energy, right? Over to cerebral, intellectual, communicating, mental energy, also group think, right? Collective thinking. So it is very important to mind your thoughts because it's happening lightning fast. Shout out to Uranus or Uranus. the ruler of Aquarius, right?
Aquarius,
Rules
yes.
lightning, speed, right? These outer planets that shift generational consciousness, the higher mind, right? So we're all tapping into these things now with the quickness. Uranus, Aquarius don't play. People, we think that, Aquarian, everything has duality, right? Sister Myrah, right?
Yes.
Positive and negative nodes, and even within the sign as well.
Yes.
Now, and it depends on the individual what frequency you tapping in, okay? Because Aquarius can rule freedom, liberation, or rebelliousness or anarchy, right? So it all depends on where your mind state is, and what you're resonating on is what you will be living in your matrix in, right? We are recreating our own matrices at this moment, which is the womb. We're all creating our own wombs that we're going to be living in as this one collapses. So as for reincarnation, soul life regression, past life regression, I say yes to all of these things, but I also think it's a matter of choice.
Yes.
Whether you're going to come back to fulfill a contract or you're here to come back to break it. Okay.
So one of the terms we've used so much during this conversation, and that term is the term, like I said, yesterday was Mother's Day. We keep using the term mother. Now, from personal experience, one of the most incredible technologies, like we talk about all this in technology that we're experiencing, AI, whatever. My son is 6 and my daughter just turned 5 months. I have 2 children. My son is 6 years old. My daughter just turned 5 months. Me watching my lady breastfeed has to be one of the most incredible things I've ever witnessed. One of the illest things I've seen was when she had breast milk stored in the refrigerator, and my son wasn't feeling well at one time. And I think the lady who was her doula, I forget the term you used, was watching over at it. She said, "No, don't give him that milk. When he's sick, your body will make a specific milk for him to take at that specific time." Milk right here. How did your body know? Like, Joe, the shit was ill, and the milk was a different density. It looked different. It was it was different. It was a different color from a whole refrigerator milk. This milk was a different color. I say, yo, wow. God damn it, your body's intelligent. So listen,
the original medicine cabinet.
With that being said, it seems as though women tap into some supernatural type things when they give birth. What I want to ask you is, because we keep talking about the term mother, what I just told you the story about being a mother and going through these things, do you think it might have been a requirement for Sibyl? Like, fraternities got requirements, gangs got requirements, clubs got requirements. Do you think it might have been a requirement to be a mother because you have to go through certain things, to experience certain psychic abilities, to tap into certain supernatural abilities?
Well, that's why the Sybils, another word for the Sybils is crone.
And
they have to be more than 50 years old to qualify.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. The crone. No, because she has to be, and then went through life, the wisdom. Right. That's what the crone is bringing to the table, the wisdom of
Capricorn
life.
Woman.
Yes, and it's the ultimate warfare, you guys, right now is natural versus artificial.
Yes.
AI. And what's natural? That's where they've reached their maximum. Technology, what's unnatural? They are the unnatural. We are the natural. Nature. And as a matter of fact, when there is this story that I want to tell. I want you to look at this, and I know you're probably familiar.
Yes.
What I want you to look at is that black dog.
Yes, ma'am.
That black crow in there, because recently this story came back up on my algorithm, and it's a story that happened way back in 2000, like 2005. There was this lady Her name was Terry Shybro. Terry Shybro.
Mhm.
She was on life support. And she, her husband, she had been on it for 10 years, and her husband wanted to finally take her off of life support, but her parents wanted to keep her on life support. And so they had to take it to court. And at the time, this was when George Bush Jr. was in office. So when they took it to court, he came out and said, keep her on life support. That's where my antennas went up, because I'm like, why would the president of the United States be concerned about this woman being on life support or not? So after the court case, the husband won the court case, and they took her off of life support, and she died.
Mhm.
A week after she died, the Pope died.
Mm.
Do y'all see where I'm going with this?
Wow.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So when I asked Spirit what was the symbolism, because that's the spiritual language, symbolism.
Wow.
When I asked them what was the symbolism on this, look at the word terror. Materialism. Being propped up through an illusion. It's not real. Her on life support. Okay. And when she died, that's symbolizing materialism dying. And once materialism died, the father of illusion dies. The illusion dies. They're no longer going to control us through manipulation. Now it's going to be by brute force. Okay. And during this time, this was the whole time that they went to Mandela's funeral, and they had an interpreter there. Everybody laughed because they said the interpreter was not doing real sign language. They were in Africa, and they were really symbolizing, new peace, with Miss Mandela's death. And actually, there was a ritual going on. They laughed at the interpreter, but he was actually doing a ritual on them, and Spirit told me what the ritual was symbolizing. And it was symbolizing, it says, all the leaders of the world were there. And it says, you have been tried and you have been found lacking. And to the extent that you've abused the least of thee is to the extent that you shall now fall. Okay? Okay? They did a ritual to bring this energy down. At the same time, they had inaugurated the new Pope. Okay? And the new Pope released some white doves out of the window to symbolize his new inauguration and how we're coming in peace. And as he released the white doves out of the window, 3 black crows.
I remember that. Yeah. Came and attacked us.
Because you're doing a falsehood. You're saying we're coming in peace, and that's the opposite of what your intentions are. And when all this happened, this is what I said. Because I did a presentation on it. I said, they have declared war on nature. And now nature is responding.
Nature is responding.
Indeed.
Nature is responding. Artificial versus what's natural or nature. And that's the Sybils. The women, they always had an affinity with nature.
Yes.
We always had the affinity with nature. Watch the movie Dark Crystal. They show you that in Dark Crystal. Bobby Hammett, Turn Me on the Dark Crystal. All of us on where they, where there was the 2 Nephilims left, which who the Nephilims represented. You guys have seen Dark Crystal. I know that's the one.
No, I haven't.
Never seen it.
Bobby Hammett was the one that turned us all onto it. And it gave this whole story about the ancestors and what happened, how the crystal cracked and how we had to heal the crystal. And I mean, it takes you to watch it if you have. It's animated.
Check it out. Yeah,
it's animated. Okay, so but they how they cracked the crystal, but they showed you in Dark Crystal when they went to the feminine Nephilim that she had the power over nature. Okay. The nature would respond to her. So that's the feminine aspect of it. And as you said, it's not about male, female. It's about masculine and feminine.
I say.
Not male, female. Right. Like Brother Rich, you're a male, but you came in here in feminine energy. That means you came in here to do balance, to energize balance into the atmosphere. Okay, and those who else are feminine, and rest of us are feminine, female, and feminine energy. Okay, so we came in here, you know. To be more, I guess, more direct and more to the point. Whereas those that come in, like a female coming in masculine energy, that is to come in and bring balance into the energy field. So it's not about the vessel. It's about the energy you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
Everything is about the energy, and you are just a vessel who manifests that energy, whether you did it in the male form or in the female form. But we're all vessels of Daughter Earth, and Daughter Earth is feminine. That's why they say we all start as females and then the others turn into males. You see.
And I believe that our anatomy has a lot to do with the way in which that energy flows, which is why the divine feminine is so extraordinarily important. I know that may sound strange to some, but it's very important. And the way it's necessary is the same way an instrument has to be shaped a certain way, and it makes a certain sound. It does a particular thing because of the shape of a thing, the thing that this sound and how it hits. So it is with the vessel of the feminine. It was interesting when you mentioned about some of the Sybils. I had that book, by the way. I think it came with some cards or something. Because I was looking for as many more resources on the system. It's very scant. That's the only thing I got. I said I'll get the card so I can get that little book to go with it. It's very, very powerful. But this section, just across the next page of the image I showed you earlier, and this is important because you were talking about the origin of the Vatican, and the Vatican meaning in part the short term meaning divining serpent, right? And connected to this serpent people. And we find that this is really a deity. I won't get into details about it, but there are so many offshoots about this. And when you all went into a lot of that already when you talked about the serpent, so I won't belabor that point except to say that even some of our major spiritual systems now, you can tell that the woman is hidden with this notion of serpent. Of course, in the beginning, we know that we said that she talked with this serpent, right? And it's saying that she, of course, we demonize a woman throughout scriptures, right? Which we know the scriptures are messed with because they demonize her throughout the text and saying, had she not, you listen to your wife, that later on, of course, in the Old Testament, they really emphasize that Adam listened, to the woman, specifically on that, listening to who? This serpent. That was connected to this tree. That's another spiritual system too, with the Hulupu tree and Lilith. We won't get into that. And they the dark feminine as well, because she wouldn't do what you told her to do, and so we demonized her. But I see that really as being one of the Sybils. Because they blame everything from the beginning of creation on her, number one, and then they demonize the serpent. And then later text in scripture, it says, we tread on serpents and scorpions and over all power of the enemy. So we keep seeing that. But the fact that the etymology of the word Vatican means divining serpent, and it goes into being a prophetess and sorceress and magic and all that came with that. And we understand that so much of the ancient goddesses, as we would call them, or queens, or feminine energies that were revered and even worshipped, had this connection to the serpent. Well, in this book that talks specifically about an image of the Sybils that are sitting there when they are saying that they have this mask on, but the writer believes that it's actually one of the it's another African clay type thing that they have on their face, because they're getting ready to go into the spirit realm to go what I call the divine council. Because they're sitting there with the chalice, getting ready to take that stuff so that they can go into trance. You understand? When they're sitting there, she says this under that picture, that the sorceress is clearly a Sibyl depicted in usual quote unquote Gorgon style. That's what they like to call them, so they don't call you don't identify your black mama. The Gorgons, right? Style as the old black hag. I'm we didn't heard in our times, right? I'm 46, so I've heard in my times when somebody calls someone a hag, right? You a hag. That's what hag means. It's interesting to note that the old English word for hag is serpent.
Ah,
Boom.
I love it.
Excellent.
Symbolism.
Yes.
That's why I love symbolism. That's the spiritual language.
And then when you mentioned about being 50 in the Sibyl, I
Yes.
believe that that's the case with some of the Sibyls, not all. And there are different, I believe, ranks and classification. I should say maybe ranks, but classifications of Sibyls. In this instance, she mentions in particular that she says that in the Mamiwata Voodoo, a queen priestess over 50 is honored, feared, and respected with the title of Okuvi. So there are different types of Sibyls, but the one that's at that 50-year-old, when she mentioned that a minute ago,
Yes.
that's a particular one
The
that's
crone.
reached a certain level. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
That's known
Yes.
as that. So there are different Sibyls, even if they're not quite 50. And
Yes,
I'm
yes.
almost there. But
Yes.
nevertheless, she
Yes.
mentioned that. But I just wanted to say that about
Yes.
the Sibyls, and I believe that the serpent has a lot to do with that wisdom and that magic, but I'm gonna leave that alone in the underworld.
No,
That's
I want to piggyback on that if I can. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right about the different prototypes. Now, Sybils is a name. Remember that it's what Rome gave her,
right.
and
right.
so that's just a title that they gave her to
That's right.
describe a woman who's connected to planetary grids and have talent. There's 13 different prototypes of Sybils.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
So yeah, so this is like our technology,
Our
not
technology.
necessarily their artificial technology.
Yes,
We are the
yes.
ultimate technology.
Indeed.
Right? Just our anatomy and physiology of the body alone
Ashe.
has these different nodes and multi dimensions to them. And this is the thing about Sybils, they're multi-dimensional, right?
Yes.
Some of them work herbs, some of them work the underground, some of
Come
them
on.
work spirits, some of them raise the dead, some of them can speak things into existence. There's so many levels, so they're connected to different, I was saying earlier, dragon lines along the planetary grid. When I say dragon lines, it's this. You could go on Google Earth, and there's some people who zoom out and they can see the remains of dragon fossils all through the planet.
Yeah.
These are fragments you said when she passed on, right? Her body she went into the air. And then her body transmuted right into earth, right? It's the same story. But with the fragmentation of Tiamat, her blood became the waters, right? Her bones became the mountains. So you start seeing these fossils all through the earth. Now, with the Sibyls, quote unquote, they rule certain gates, alignments to remember what was fragmented. Okay. We didn't even touch about the gates over here. Right. And that brings on the whole reason why they thought they discovered. They knew exactly what they were doing when they was coming over here. They knew that the women that were here held the codes that had more memory because these lands predate the fall of Atlantis. The lands over there came after the fall of Atlantis, right?
Yes.
So they rewrote stories over there that actually originated over here.
Yes.
So the 13 prototypes of women here, going from the Washita woman, the Mississippian woman, the Creole woman, the Caribbean woman, the Cheetah woman, known as the Mexican woman along the Yucatan Peninsula, the Brazilian woman, the real Amazonian woman, because the Amazons are over here. These
absolutely.
The codes that's even stronger than the ones over there. And so as long as they can keep us looking that way, you don't even look at the divine sisters that's holding these concentrated tones, frequencies. You just spoke like I'm just sitting here alone with y'all. I'm like, look at this, what's going on right here. And I understand this is all we got from the books that were left and the remains that we have. But our memory is so ancient and it's connected to that double X chromosome that existed on this realm long before any of them got here. If you were looking for more books, I wanted to shout it. Mama Zobe wrote a slew of books. She wrote volumes. She got volume one. I don't know if you have the Mommy Water volume 1 and 2. Right? She has these, which includes the Sybils. In her work, she's gone all over the world
Yes.
looking for the story that was
Yes.
never told.
Yes.
So and it is up to us to tell the
Come on.
story of
Yes.
over here
Yes.
about activating these womb and memory codes
Come
all
on.
along the Gulf Coast, all
Yes.
along the Caribbean Sea, all
Yes.
along the Atlantic coast. There are these women there that remember, and they will attack the hardest because of the codes that they carried,
Yes.
right? And so this is why many Black women uphold Christianity,
Right.
Islam, Judaism. We are the pillars of that. And the moment we remember, the whole system
Remember.
collapsed.
Come
Yes.
on.
And that is what we need to get to, is the
That-
activation of remembrance, because we're up, sisters uphold it. We all came out of the spell, right?
Yes.
We all were
Yes.
in there one time,
Come on.
right? We were all in one of these
Come on now.
paradigms at one time, right? Until
Yeah.
we snapped out of it. And it's been a fight ever
Yeah.
since to get other sisters
To-
to wake up,
That's
because
right.
it is
That's
their
a fact.
energy that's upholding patriarchy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. This is the illusion. This is the make. And as we buy into it, we're the ones energizing it for them. You
Yes.
see?
Yes.
And the more we wake up, we're pulling our energy away from the illusion. It no longer has the power to sustain itself. This is how Humpty Dumpty is falling off the wall.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
reason they depict Humpty Dumpty as an egg is because he has a fragile position of power. It's based on an illusion. It's not real. That's why they do their rituals where they get a group of people to focus, because you energize through your focus.
Well,
So as you're energizing through your focus, they put on their little skit, the football games, the basketball games, the golf, the boxing, whatever little skit they put on is, and Vicki, it's not about knowing sports.
Yes, right.
It has nothing to do with football. When I do the symbolism of the Super Bowl, it has nothing to do with football.
Oh yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It just deals with. I have a book that tells me what every city and state energy is, and then I look at their symbols of the team, and I use the symbols and the energy to understand what is going to be the message.
Come on.
For this collective pool of energy that's been energized. And honey, I can't even give you a message, even though I have all the qualities to tell you the message, until the game is complete.
That's right.
Won't work in fraction.
Come on. We're in the ninth inning, honey. We're in the ninth inning, 12th round.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's wait till the game is completed before you get the full message, because spirit only works in wholeness.
Right.
Come on.
Holistic, okay? Anytime you're looking at a part of the whole, that is the illusion. It's not real. People think the physical is more real than the spiritual, but the physical is the illusion. It's the physical external illusion versus the spiritual internal reality.
That is
I
want to bring up Mah Mah Tea talked about like energy grid lines on planet Earth, and you kept using the word remembrance. What I want to talk to you about is a concept in quantum physics. A gentleman by the name of, let me bring this up real quick. Oh, where's this gentleman by the name of Rupert Sheldrake talked about something called morphic resonance. He says the idea that each place has a unique morphic field is part of the theory of morphic resonance. This theory suggests that all living things and even social groups are connected through these fields, which store collective memories and patterns of behavior. These fields can influence the development and behavior of organisms or groups within them. And morphic fields are thought to explain why certain behaviors or patterns of activity appear in different cultures or across different species. For example, it could explain why different groups might develop similar play habits or learn new skills more quickly after others have learned them. Morphic fields can also be seen as a form of collective memory where the experiences and patterns of behavior of past generations can influence the present. This could be relevant to understanding the cultural traditions and social norms. So with this definition of morphic resonance, I want to talk to y'all real quick about melanated people not traveling to certain areas. Let's talk about the Vatican. What if they say the Vatican? They said all our shit is under the Vatican, buried under the Vatican, or that's where the oracles was. That's where the Sybils were. That's where the Library of all our information is in that area. When you ask the average black person where they went to vacation and where they visit,
down the street,
99.9% will not say the Vatican.
Right. That's right.
What I want to ask y'all is, do you think we need to go, because we're not going to access
tonight?
They're going to hide them forever. Do we need to send our powerful brothers, our powerful sisters out there just to be on the land, just tonight, to tap into that morphic energy that's out there? Mah Mah Tea already answered it. I'm gonna let Mah Mah Tea start out with the answer to this, and I'm gonna let y'all.
Wow. Not only that, tonight, hell yeah, tonight. The Etruscan women that were there before these the mulatto children that are there now, right? Because that's what they are. The Italians, the Greeks, you name them. They're mulatto children. There are children, really. There are badass children. So yes, and they don't have all the memory codes because a lot of them they're under spells too. So absolutely, the recall, the memory recall, the total recall. You should go walk those lands barefoot, and you get those codes back coming through your soul. Absolutely, because we are blind. We don't even connect. We can't even connect to Earth. We still looking to leave out of here. Everybody want to leave Earth. And not realize that everybody you want to leave, they want to come here because this is the source of it all. So yes, walk in those lands, right? Walk in the ancient lands over here. Walk in the lands of Mississippi. Black people don't want to go in the water. The Gulf Coast is sentient. Yes. If you want to look for the ancient records, it's under the water. That's where you're going to find those ancient records. That's why they terrorize us for being in the water. But absolutely, we need to go Mexico, the old Mexicans. I traveled in Mexico. I was in Mexico for 6 months, going all along the coast of the peninsula. And I had no idea why until I took my shoes off and I started going there and then crying and breaking down, like having these memories of not understanding, going to the sun pyramids, those people that are there weren't always there. And I had a guide, one of the guides. He said, come here, let me show you something. Took me to the back, thinking I'm special. So he took me to the back and he's showing where they're whitewashing the murals. They're painting over them. We're talking about we're reconstructing, but there was a strip underneath with black chocolate melanated people, the original people that were there, all through there. So absolutely, Brother Rich, when we going?
Hey, yo, Mah Mah Tea, you know what? The next one, June 28th, we hitting up Stone Mountain. In Georgia.
That's a huge
I went there.
Vein there, right? That granite rock. I was there at your first one.
Right.
I was there.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh,
I said hi to y'all and everything. But
you wow. Mah Mah Tea, will you come to this one? Can you come to this one?
We having an event a week before that, so that's gonna be kind of hard for me. I'm gonna try my best though. I'm gonna try my best, but we're having an event, a Quantum Fest event in Houston, Texas, the week before the summer solstice. Y'all need to come to that. But I'm gonna try my best to come out there because Stone Mountain is a vein. Yes, it's the granite rock, right? The granite. It's made out of granite, pure granite, right? And the mountains are connected to all the other mountains that are through there, just like the mushrooms and everything else. So this is a part of the skeletal system of the Great Mother. So when everyone's up on top of that mountain, right? This is more than a rock, baby. And that rock holds memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some of those stones, a Stone Mountain has these puddles. If you look, there's a lot of holes. They look like craters. And the sisters used to say, you put your ear to the crater and let Mother whisper to you the secrets. So there's a lot of little mystical things up on that mountain. And they used to do a lot of things on that mountain that needs to be corrected with our energy, right? So this is a time of reclamation. Absolutely.
This is balance. This is reconciliation, transformation, and regeneration time.
Regeneration, renewal on the Scorpio moon.
Yeah.
Right? Transmutation. The death, we've already had our death.
Yeah, death
It's
and rebirth.
time for our
That's what
rebirth.
Scorpio is, death and rebirth.
Yeah, this is our resurrection.
Our resurrection.
Our ascension.
Yes, our
Right?
ascension.
This is our ascension
Brother
right
Rich,
here, right
we don't
now.
have to do, this is a spiritual warfare. We don't have to do it on a physical level anymore. We're now opening to our spiritual empowerment. That means you don't have to go send no brothers, as far as physically you don't. But you can spiritually, you can mentally send the brothers
and signals.
And that will happen instantaneously. Right now, it's time for us to open to our spiritual powers. And your spirit is already trying to show you that. When your phone rings and before you look at it who's calling, it's trying to show you, it's opening you back up to your telepathy. All these things are about to open back up to us. So now we don't have to do things hands-on anymore. We now have spiritual powers that we have access to. This is what this ascension is about. Us being able to tap into the spiritual powers that of Mama Universe. When we hop the fence the mamas have, she's Mama Magic. First two letters of magic. That is her domain of rulership. Right now, say you have a loved one that you want to talk to, but they're not receptive. Now you have the power to send your spirit to go talk to their spirit. Let their spirit bring them the information. But we can do that through now our imagination. That's how you maneuver through the spiritual realm, through your imagination. So you just have to imagine going there, and that's where you're tapping into your subconscious. And that is where you open up your Akashic records and your family ancient memory.
I want to I got one. I don't want to keep y'all too long. We just hit the 2-hour mark, and I want all of us to tell the people what we got going on, because Mama T just mentioned the Quantum Fest. I know I got Stone Mountain. I know Vicki Dillard got a webinar.
Yes, sir. Webinar. Yeah.
Always got stuff going on with the website and the readings and all that. So I want us to let the people know everything coming up. But before that, the last question I want to ask you, and this has been an absolute magnificent 2 hours with y'all tonight on this full moon. In terms of nature, because y'all talked about being connected to nature, and I was watching Mama's Tea YouTube, and she had a video about the sun. I hear so much information about the sun, the second sun, the third sun, this sun, that sun, the sun behind the sun, the black sun, all types of sun. What I want to ask you is that being under this system of patriarchy, and we see what happened, what went down, what direction we took as humanity under this system, do you think y'all talking about the return of the divine feminine, and that's what it originally was? What I want to ask you is the sun that we see in the sky, is this the direct representation of patriarchy, and shit ain't going to change until that sun gets out the way and another sun comes, moves in its position, and that's the central sun for this planet? But until this sun that we got in the sky leaves, patriarchy ain't going nowhere. Is that what is going on right now with the situation with the sun?
Well, that's not my impression. My impression is that we operate on a multitude of levels, you see.
Okay.
And when I look at the sun, I'm looking at the fire element, you see. And the closest planetary body of energy of fire is the sun. But then the next level that we're going to go to when it comes to the fire element is Mars. Mars is the next planet that deals with the fire. So that's the level we're actually going to, is to the level as we're ascending to the fire line or axis of energy. Now we're going to ascend from the sun, having the impact. As it starts to expand now, we're going to go up to the level of Mars. From Mars, it goes up to the level of Jupiter. That's the next level of fire energy. So that's how I think we, it's not like one has to move out of the way. One is just spirit do things by connecting the dots. That's why symbolism is the spiritual language. So what we're getting from the resurrection of the sun, that is what's going to resurrect us into Mars, or what they call Haru's energy. Haru is where you come to your full 360 degrees of personal power, Aries energy. Aries is the most personal sign of the zodiac. And then the Harus all come together collectively in their full 360 degrees, full spiral of personal energy. They all come together as Sagittarius or Asar, which is Jupiter's energy. Jupiter is the great beneficent, the planetary ruler of Jupiter, of Sagittarius. That is the great beneficent. Everybody gets their blessings through Jupiter. Whatever energy Jupiter touches, it brings an abundance and enlarges. So we come to the abundance of our collective power, and that's symbolic of Asar, Sagittarius, now resurrecting in his collective abundance of power. So it's just connecting the dots from the sun to Mars to Jupiter. So it's not like one has to move out, but it's now ascending. As our vibration ascends, then that's how we ascend from the sun, part of this aspect or this operation, to Mars. And then from Mars, we will ascend to Jupiter. That's where Asar resurrects at, through Jupiter.
Excellent. Excellent. Who's next? Who want to go next in this one?
Well, when you mentioned that she has videos on the sun, I thought she would take it from there. I will say this: I'm everything that I do, and I can't emphasize this enough, is I meet with the celestial councils, and so I don't know well how to label or categorize these different types of suns, except for to say that in our galaxy, the planets revolve around it. And I know that through my counsel and my connection and some of the things that I do with the celestial planets, I can't say I can't get deep, me personally, with that, except for to say that it is one of my ancestors and it's brought me great, I believe, glory and some more stuff as it relates to things. And so that's all I'm gonna say on that. I won't go further.
Excellent. Excellent.
So the sun, the sun that we see now, it's not about whether it's real or fake. It's about what we remember about it. The powers that be put interfaces or filters over it to try to block those codes we used to get naturally, right? And as we are awakening, then we're seeing the different shades of it. We're seeing the green sun, we're seeing the black sun, and they've never gone anywhere. They've always been there. It's just that we were so blinded under the illusion in this matrix, we couldn't see the different frequencies that the sun omits, right? So our melanin is the skin that we have is an interface that picks up codes, and they know this. So they do have technology. They can't change the sun, but what they do is try to put a curtain in front of it, right? Or something that they try to put to try to block out the codes that come in. Now, some of us resonate on a high frequency. We could go above, around that damn curtain. The curtain don't matter, right? There's sisters I know that start to see the green sun, that see the black sun. You staring it long enough, you'll see that black sun, right? You'll see and what it is, it's frequencies. Once we understand that, it's frequencies. The eyes are lenses that hit the back of the brain. They're just mirrors. All of these things are mirrors that we're seeing, but it's energy and codes that's awakening. And when you start peeling those veils off and you start getting out of this matrix, then you start resonating on a whole different frequency. And not just the sun, the water, the wind, the air, the fire, the ether. Right? We're the embodiment of it all. So when they go to the sun, it's like to limit you on your true potential. So now everybody talk about it, right? Is this and that and the other? And I do things that's a bit controversial, but I want you to some stirring thought. I want you to think about this shit. Like, I really want you to go deep within and start questioning everything that they are telling us, right? Because you existed long before they ever got here. Absolutely. Right? So I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna drop out. We've existed here before the sun, when we came out of the water.
Talk to me.
So,
and that was one thing I was going to say, and that I certainly believe is that we existed before the sun and actually helped to create it. But there is also, I believe, when the ancients evolve and we become into consciousness, there's an overruling power we have. And it doesn't matter what's being played out in the court. There's this thing that we call overruled. You understand? And so when you understand who you are without consciously knowing it, that's what gave, when people say to me, you just got a confidence, like, just like, hell yeah, I know. It's going to be what I say, and watch this. And when you're done trying 15 things, you're going to come back, just like I said. But it's a part of my tumultuous journey was about an initiation into this. So I know stuff that I don't know, and the energies and the powers that I even countenance that were difficult had to do with the particular spiritual rank I was moving in. And I understood that I was controlling that in my secret place in my home Vatican. You understand? So with that being said, I wanted to say this quickly. When I say the overruling power, I just mean to say that these energies, these frequencies, this sun, if you're hearing your mother's voice, sometimes even if the sun itself is stuck in a type of binding environment. But when we move into what we need to move into, there's an overruling energy to where we're still able to receive of these things. I wanted to say this just very quickly, and I'm done. When you said, should we make a trip there? A few years ago, I got a download about a unique work that I'm supposed to do there. I can't say what it is. But Brother Rich, you play too much. That's all I'm gonna say on that. But it's for different reasons. Well, I acknowledge Eternal Line and I acknowledge America, all that. But I'm just saying, I got just so I'm gonna leave it at that, Brother Rich. It is something to it, what you're saying, but for me, but for different reasons. And I'm gonna say this one thing. I brought this up in one of my webinars that I did, and I got another one coming up. That's one of the ones you're talking about a minute ago. It's free this Sunday, May 18th, I'm going to be talking about the Black reason why Trump wanted to be Pope. You all know he said that he wanted to be Pope. I'm going to talk about what's actually behind that, but it's more than what you think.
Right.
It's more than what you think.
Right. And can I say one last thing? I want to say,
yes, please. You got it.
We're all on a unique journey. Okay.
Yeah.
And everybody has mastered in what it is they chose to bring to the table in contribution to the whole. The one and all and the all in one. Your reality is no more wrong or right than anyone else's.
Excellent.
We all have our own unique mastery and contribution to the whole. That is why we got to understand we do not blend energy. We harmonize energy.
There you go.
Together in harmony. We don't blend this one. We harmonize. It's like the hair. Y'all see me do this 1,000 times. You got a thumb, you got a index, you got a middle, you got a ring, you got a little finger, palm, back of the hands, fingernails. They all come together to make a hand, but they all have a unique role in contribution to the whole. If we all blended in the thumbs, we wouldn't get a lot done. But we all come together in unique contribution to harmonize as one. So your reality is no more wrong or right than mine or hers or his or anyone else's. We come together in harmony with our mastery, bringing together as one.
And
all in one.
And before we get to the contact info, the brother, when the brother heard I was doing the show with y'all tonight, every time Vicki or Sister Myrah, he know about Mah Mah Tea, he was like, yo, Rich, you got to let me come on there and just give the sisters a shout out. I said, Rob, man, I don't want, he's like, just let me come on at the end.
Don't play.
He was like, just let me come on at the end, Rich. I'm like, I was like, I'll bring you on at the very end. This brother was, and he always talks about the matriarchy, and he came on one time with Vicki.
You ain't talking about Rod. You playing.
I was like, before you end the show, Rich, just let me say hi to them, please. I said,
look at this. Of course, on a full moon in Scorpio, we get a Scorpio.
I promise you, I was about to say about the
Scorpio appears.
Flower full moon. I can't take it. I can't take it. Rod, brother Rod.
What you got to say, my brother?
So when I see these sisters putting in the work, and I be watching them do what they do, it give me faith in humanity again.
Yes, sir.
And Sister Myrah was on her soapbox talking about the harmonizing of the energy.
Yes.
And the divine masculine don't mix well with divine masculine, but they mix quite well with the divine feminine.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I always tell them the God man is the man that's confident enough as a God to tell you that God is a woman.
Wait, hold up. Both masculine. I always say that.
Right. So a lot of us lost track of our roles, and I had to do a whole lot of studying to exhume a whole lot of our culture from the voices of the ancestors. So when we talk about the sacerdotal seat of the Great Mother,
yes,
yeah, and my job to make sure she got an open path to that seat.
I'm done. I gotta go.
So you gonna kick that nigga out the chair?
I'm done.
Listen, he don't sit on her seat.
Where he sit at? He sit
under her seat.
That he do. And you gonna kick him from under the chair then?
He already under the seat. Look, so if you really pay attention to the bloodline say he passing. An old Creole nigga from old Louisiana way, by way of Chicago, coming from Haiti. Talking about follow the path of the trail, and it give you the design of what's called a back loop. Right? Now he in Vatican City, which is ground zero to the hostile forces that was usurping the power of the Great Mother. If he one of Mama's boys, if he following his motherland, and he tracing that bloodline through that old Creole, Louisiana, and he feel like his ancestors feel, he got to give it back to Mama. Right? The symbolism came in from Philadelphia. Remember, before DC, the sacerdotal seat of America was Congress Hall in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Right? So if you look at it on the map, put Big Mama's seat on Philadelphia and look where DC is between her feet.
Yes.
Right? Now look at the Pope sitting under Big Mama's seat and do a side-by-side comparative analysis. And this will show you that we already did the spiritual work to put the Great Mother back on her seat. Now, all of the work we've been collectively doing, everybody got a piece to play. Everybody can't do the same job, but we've been getting nothing done.
That's right.
Right? But when everybody did their part, we can put all of the pieces together. We got a puzzle that tells a story.
There you go. That's it. The whole.
I get emotional every time you bring him on.
He loves coming on. When y'all come on, Rod be like, yo, let me.
And I'm glad you brought up Philadelphia, because Delphi.
Yes.
Yes. So they told us a bald-faced lie and told us that Philadelphia translates as brotherly love. That's not what it means. It's Philos Delphi. It's the love of the oracle.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not ready for that.
Yes.
The oracle is the crystal symbol of the goddess Venus, manifests in the physical body of a woman walking in her divine feminine.
Yes.
Right? And this is when all our BS don't even phase her no more. It's just like the mama got all them babies pulling on her, and she got time for all of them, and we think she doing something. All she doing is alchemy.
I'm done, man. I'm about to go. I'm out. I'm done.
Hey,
she look, she makes something out of nothing. Right? So when she manipulating time for all her children, that's Kali Mah.
Yes. Oh, Cancer energy.
Rod, hey, Rod, listen, I want to get to the contact information. I don't want to keep them too long. So thanks for coming on, Rod. He insisted on giving y'all props telling y'all what's up.
Girl to our brother.
We love you, Rod.
Coming on real quick, Rod. I want to say,
Hey, thanks, Brother Rich. I wanted to get a chance to say hi to the sisters and tell them to keep up the good work.
Yes,
thank you, my brother Rod. Thank you.
Thank
Peace
you
to that
very
brother
much.
Rod Hayes, man. That really,
I
he got a lot of love. I talked to
He's
him.
always been about Big Mama.
Yeah. Oh, since he came on the scene. Since he came on the scene.
Yes, sir.
Since he came on the scene, he been about that. Oh man, listen. Like I said, I don't want to keep y'all too much long. I know y'all been on here for a while. It's late. Shout out. We still got 3,500 people in the chat. With that being said, let's start out with Mah Mah Tea. Mah Mah Tea got the Quantum Fest. Vicki Dillard got the webinar. Let's start with Mah Mah Tea. Tell the people how to contact you, everything going on. Then we'll just go from there.
Oh, yeah. Quantum Fest, the return of the ancient ones. We are tapping into the divine feminine, divine masculine energy. So it all started about a year ago. Me and a sister named I Am God Frequency. Shout out to Lisa Jackson. We were talking about, we moved to the TikTok platform, right? We weren't really known on American platform. We were the rejects over here. No one was paying us no mind. We was just ignored. We wasn't down with the cool kids. So when we moved over to TikTok, we found our audience, we found our tribe, we found our connection. And some of us have strong Jupiter placements. So when you go to a foreign platform, and their algorithm is different. And so we just took off. And then we noticed once we created this momentum, TikTok turned on us and started blocking us and pages and horrible. We were like, man, this would be a dope opportunity if we can all come together and get these influences together. And we put on our own event. And Lisa was like, this will be the return of the ancient ones. This is a collective. This is an activation. So we're calling out Black scientists, Black inventors, Black alchemists, right? We're trying to do something totally different. It's a concert. We got Ty Phoenix in the building. We got Elohim in the building. We got I Am God Frequency. We got B. Dell in the building. We have a lot of like these minds that have come together. 111, all of these people are coming together to put forth this event, and we call it an activation, and it's happening on the summer solstice of 2025 in Houston, Texas. So if you're available and you want to come out to that, it's quantumfest.net. And if you want to save a couple of coins, you're going to use the discount code of Mah 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 20. And that's only going to be up there for a little bit. And that's one thing I'm doing. I also want to mention that I do sacred lotus teas. Mah Mah Tea got to make some tea now, you know what I'm saying? So my website is sacredtea.net, and I make teas out of lotus flower as well as sour sop. These are wellness blends because I'm trying to help us get activated. We have to cleanse and clear out our third eye so we can begin to see things that we never seen before. And also do music, and I have a couple of soundtracks available. So visit us at sacredtea.net and also visit us at quantumfest.net. And if you want to be around, and Rich, I'm going to look into that on the week after. Because that would be pretty dope. That would be a nice alignment.
Hey, Mama, did you get a chance to send me the tea yet? Because I gave you the tea.
You gonna get it? I'm gonna hook you up.
You can give that tea.
Yo, honey, that love is
my son's voice.
Don't see Mah Mah Tea sipping that tea. She be like, baby.
Yeah, I be going in. I'm telling you, ain't no point. I'm telling you, it does open you. It's a lotus flower. It opens you up. It's what the ancients drank, and we have to remember that. Like these things still exist. They're still here for us. So tap back into the drinks, the elixir. Sybils, honey, you listen. What we do?
Come on.
We was mixing elixir. Come on now.
Exactly right.
Listen, I'm just tapping into my ancient memory.
Good to
right?
know.
And I'm just bringing forth. This is an energy exchange for me.
Yes.
Right. I sit up there when I put on. I wanted to say this real quick because a lot of people was like, some people say, you look a lot younger. What's going on here? And so I'm like, so TikTok has technology. So we talk bad about AI a lot, right? But AI, the way they're using it is always going to be different how we flip it. right? Because
Mhm.
we are the original algorithm.
Yeah.
I don't even call it AI the way I pop it and cracked it open. I call it ancestral intelligence because I'm tapping into my ancient self. So when I put on my age filter, I'm looking at my elder self, look at me tapping into the ancestor because we are the ancestors' return. And I'm going to catch up to that woman 20, 30 years from now. So I found a way to hack into my timeline to my future self to bring you the word of the ancient past in this present day. And that's my page.
Genius, Mah Mah Tea.
I
Genius.
love it.
Thank you. All right, that's enough of me. Go ahead.
Vicky, you next?
Yes, well, sure. I am so excited about this Sunday, May 18th. And this webinar is absolutely free. So just go to my website. I sent Brother Rich the link. I don't know if you're able to attach it or not.
Hold up. I'm going to put it up, right? You sent me the link. Hold up. I'll tell you right now. Hold up. The link for the webinar is a Zoom link, right?
Yes, sir. You got it.
It's in the chat. All right. I just posted it in the chat. Go ahead, Vicky.
Awesome. Yes. And so that same link is on the front page of my website at vickiplanet.com, VICKI planet.com. And we're going to be talking about the hidden Black reason Trump wants to be Vatican Pope. Of course, I'm discussing that because obviously I've been discussing the Sybils and this notion of the Vatican, of course, where it initially came from. Of course, we're going to be talking anything about the Vatican. How in the world we're not going to be talking about the origins of the concept of the Vatican? Right. Black Symbols. How in the world we're not going to do that? Yeah. With these thieves and stuff out here, these copycats and stuff. Yeah. So, but I'm going to talk about the science behind the metaphysics, also behind why Trump wants that, but it's going to be so much more. Yes. This notion of the Vatican, we use that. Yes, we're literally talking about the Vatican and how the Catholic Church took it over, but it was every major religion. And so in the same week that the Anglo-Saxons received their new pope, yes, it was something that was going on majorly in Israel as well as Russia, among other places. Yes, this is very, very important. And of course, we see that there are fights related to those temples. Yes,
that's right.
There's another reason Israel is taking the territory of they're saying the Palestinian people over there, but there's a particular mountain that's gone under the carpet. Most folks haven't paid attention to this particular mount, so-and-so. And I'm going to be discussing this notion of the temples, which was always a war of our ancient mothers' sacerdotal seat, this particular term that our brother just used, and I use it often.
Sacerdotal,
So who are they fighting? And this Bavir in the Israeli government, he angered a lot of folks and upset the United States and some other places for his provocations recently, trying to pray up there. And so, of course, who controls that area up there now? Who? The Muslims, right? With this, what they consider to be this sacred mosque. It's a sacred place for multiple major religions, yes? But that space didn't belong to them. That belonged to our mama too. You understand? Yes. So that's where we're going to go with it. It's not just the Vatican. Even going to be talking about Trump, but I'm going to also talk about that and what was being done in some of those temples and what that has to do with the tariff wars. Y'all ain't ready?
No, we ready. Come on. Let's get it.
In banking and its connection to money as a spirit and money out of thin air. And why they actually destroyed our mothers in major part. We don't understand. I did a webinar, Brother Rich, last year on Syria. And I was invoking Anana. And why was I doing that with Syria in the fall of Bashar al-Assad? Who is this Mississippi girl talking about Bashar al-Assad and connecting the symbols to it? But they control those ancient tradeways, Brother Rich. And the Patriarchal Order of the day all collectively fought to prevent her extraordinary power with the tradeways. The exact region, some of those areas that the Houthis, that they call them, which are actually the Yemeni army that's beating the brakes off of the United States and the West that Trump and them just made a deal from. They don't even have a standing navy. Our ancient mothers have something to do with those trade
routes. Yes, we ruled the whole trade route.
So economically powerful, absolutely.
Yeah.
One other quick thing, I'm gonna say this, and I want to just throw this out there. When Brother Rod came on, and I'm gonna be very transparent. I get emotional because I know a part of my assignment, and I know the brothers fight me. because this is a role that they see themselves in. And they make it about a gender war when they shouldn't.
Right.
And even when they try to find a way with the knowledge, when we find ancient knowledge about our Black brothers, we all rejoice and say, that's us, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
But if we give them these receipts,
Exactly.
that you can't get no receipts that stack up to what we tell you about these Sybils. They're quiet as a church mouse. And they have nothing to say about your ancient mothers. And so I have to warn them, baby, you're going to find yourself with the same destiny as your fathers, the devil. Ooh. So when Rod speaks,
God damn, that's bloody.
Shit. You know why I get emotional? And that puts me in my feminine energy. When somebody like him, in a way, appears to be submitting. Because when you allow us to thrive, baby, we will bless you. We will take you to heaven. Yeah. We will give you the euphoria. You will be blessed, resources, everything you could ever need, baby. Legs wide open, ecstasy. And I'm talking about in every way. Do you hear me?
Yes.
But
yes,
you got to let us do what we're meant to do. And we're willing to sit back. You hear what he said a minute ago? How the mama, when she's basically doing alchemy because she can take it all now. When the babies are coming from every way, baby, we good now. It's no big deal with us because we're going to outlast you. We're going to let you act the fit. One of my brothers believed that he was a He-Man, Brother Rich. Y'all know anything about He-Man? By the power of grace, God. I have the power. Watch this. No feeling. But get him the little shorts, the sword, Brother Rich, the whole little plastic outfit, told him to go out in front of the house, stand on top of that raised thing. Watch this. And say you He-Man. She was blowing him up, making him really think he was out there like He-Man. But don't go crazy against my mother and talk crazy. She was like, fool, this ain't real, dummy. I was just playing with you. I allowed you to shine and you to think that you're something you're not, because I'm not intimidated. I know in about 5 minutes, baby, I can turn you into absolutely nothing. It's your decision to get in line. It's your decision to submit. It ain't about no male and female thing unless you make it about that. You understand? It's the natural order of things. And when a man is operating in his truly divine masculine energy as a provider and as a protector, that's why I got emotional. That's when I said I was going to be transparent. Anytime I hear a brother that's talking about defending and allowing us to thrive in our position that we're meant to be, and it's not no ego thing out there, right? Child, you can't tell me nothing. He gets what he wants. He gets what he wants, and his life will be blessed. So I want to see y'all Sunday, May 18th. I'm gonna be breaking down the sacred secrets of the temples, and I'm gonna say this as a quick little thing. Why do you think you see so many temples on coins?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna leave that right there. You understand? Yeah. So you don't want to miss this. This has to do with our power. This is one of the reasons why they tried to destroy. They did destroy ancient mothers, and we see that they call them mosques now. Yes, they call them temples with the Jewish folks now. Yes, or they call them what? Vaticans. Yes, it all belonged to her, and we're going to talk about those treasures, and we're going to talk about the connection and the importance of turning your house into a headquarters. Yes,
I love it. I love
so
it.
the link is there. I hope to see it. It's absolutely free, and I promise you, your life will never be the same.
What time?
2 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. 2 p.m. Don't miss it. It's gonna be so good. Okay, I'm done.
That's right. That's amazing.
I'm the easy one because I really have nothing. I'm perched and ready for wherever spirit calls me to go. I always realize when I'm called to step up, it's usually a spiritual message that they want me to bring to the table. So I'm just a vessel for spirit when they call me. As far as what I'm doing, my consultations, and my website is sistermyrah.com. And I do want to say on that, what I want to leave is with this Taurus and Scorpio. I've been trying to get that in. This Taurus and Scorpio, that's the crutch. When we had a Star of David on November the 8th, 2003, when indicated the Star of David was a configuration of the planets, and the Star of David was sitting on its side, so you saw the 3 levels. You had Father, Mama on the first level, Saturn, and the Moon. The Moon was in Taurus, and Saturn was in Cancer. And so the Mama value. Taurus is the sign of value. And Saturn was in Cancer, the sign of unconditional love. That was the first level. How did they wound us? They cut off the father. So he no longer had unconditional love for the family. And the mother became the mama. Okay. Mother is the aberrant word for the word mama. So the mother becomes the mama, and she comes back to her, she has been polluted in her value. So then she passes up to the second level where you have Jupiter in Virgo. Jupiter represents the sister. Sister has become polluted. This is our wounding. She's become polluted in her value. She's in Virgo. Virgo is the sign of cleansing and purification in values. So in the wounding, the sister has become polluted in her value. That's why Jupiter, the planet of materialism. So she then turned to materialism in her value. And across from her is Mars in Pisces, the brother. The brother has went in, Pisces is the sign of escapism. So he done went into fantasy land, Alice in Wonderland. Mars is sexual.
Down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, down the rabbit hole. Now he hasn't stayed true to his sister. You know, I'm the prince. I'm the creative one. You know, the fire, the men. They are the most creative of the universe. Fire is creative powers. So they are the masters of creative powers. So they have gotten big-headed. You know, I'm the master of creative powers. You know, why should I stay with the black one? Is his attitude. I can have any color woman I want. You see? He went into escapism sexually and drugs and alcohol. That's Mars and Pisces. Then it took it to the third level on November the 8th, the sun in Scorpio. And then because Scorpio is the opposite of Taurus. So that's mother and son. So because the mother has become compromised in her value, the son now doesn't value the daughter. He's become controlling and abusive to the daughter because the mother has become compromised in her value. So obsession, you know, he's been obsessive and controlling to the daughter, which is Chiron in Capricorn. Chiron is our wounded healer. It's how we heal those ancient wounds. So that's how we were wounded, and that's what the Star David was showing us. But then it showed us how we're going to be healed. And how we're going to be healed is this moon in Taurus, the mama. She comes back to her value. She is the one who passes the stone of value to the sun, Scorpio. Because there's a lunar eclipse on this day. That's the slingshot. Because I asked my spirit, I said, why the Star of David? It took me back to the David and Goliath story. How did David slay Goliath with a stone? That's Taurus, the first earth sign, the sign of value. The moon was in Taurus. So she passes the stone of value, the slingshot, the lunar eclipse, to the sun. This is why in the David and Goliath story, they talk about the sun, David being a young boy, because the men couldn't kill Goliath. The young boy did. That's the son, because it's only father and son. So he's the son because the sun was in Scorpio. And that started David. And then so when the mama comes back to her value and passes the stone of value to the son, that activates his transformation. That's Scorpio. Scorpio is the sign of transformation, the death of the old, rebirth of the new at a higher level. Now he transforms and resurrects into righteous Father Spirit, who then redeems the value of daughter Earth or daughter character. Earth is character. And that is how we're going to be healed. I asked, my spirit said, what is the opposite energy of black woman?
White man.
Huh?
White man.
White man. And in order for him to be up, that means she has to be down. How do you take him down? You simply lift her up.
Come on. Go ahead, mama.
Come on.
Goliath or the giant lie.
Wow.
Goliath,
Okay.
the giant lie.
Wow.
Redeeming the value of character. Daughter
Yes,
Earth is daughter character. She's
Yes,
Cinderella, the fallen daughter, the rejected stone,
What
the cornerstone.
Go ahead.
In redemption, the earth is transformed. That is what we're in right now.
It's beautiful.
We're in Taurus right now. That means 6 months from now in Scorpio is where we're going to see the fulfillment of this.
Let's go.
Can I just hit the gavel on that?
We're here, you guys. We're here.
Yo.
And Philadelphia is Scorpio energy.
Yo.
Okay, and when I
Let the
brought up
transformation
Tammy
begin.
Terrell, she was Taurus. She is symbolic of being redeemed. She was abused by the brother because what's his name? Ray.
The guy from Temptations.
David Ruffin.
David
and
Ruffin.
what's his name? James Brown. They said James Brown was
damn.
Yeah,
He was hitting that too.
James Brown used to come off stage and go
Wow.
and whoop her ass in the audience.
Wow.
And she was raped when
And
she
you
was
see
like
how they
12
asses
or 13
ended up.
years old. Like Kendrick used her as the symbol of being redeemed.
Wow.
How we're redeeming the
Wow.
value of our women. The men has abused them, and now they're going to redeem her value and lift her up, which is how David slays her life. This is what's being fulfilled as we speak.
That's deep. That was deep.
Go ahead.
I just have my website, sistermyra.com. I'm open for whenever Spirit calls me to deliver a message, then I'm open and perched to go do that. But I don't have anything on the agenda right now, just my consultations, and that's sistermyra.com.
You're more than
Beautiful.
What a show. What a way to wrap up the show, Sister Myrah. Before y'all get out, wow, this is like epic, y'all. Epic. We about to hit the 3-hour mark. Thank y'all for this long with me. I appreciate it, y'all.
Thank you, Brother Rich. Thank you.
I'm in amazing company. I mean, this is
What
time?
When you first mentioned Mah Mah Tea and Vicki Dillard,
wow.
I was
I knew that. I was like, oh, this is a dope show. Of course, absolutely. I'm gonna be there. What are you talking about?
Did you tell me your YouTube page, Mah Mah Tea? Did you tell them that?
Oh, YouTube page at Mah Mah Tea. That's it. My YouTube is at Mah Mah Tea. My TikTok is at Mah Mah Tea, spelled like it's spelled there. I have an Instagram page. Everybody think it's a fake page, but that's at Big Mah Mah Tea. I'm the queen of clone pages. It's like they have about a gazillion clone pages of me. So you have to be mindful and make sure on Instagram I have a blue check, but on TikTok, you just look at the amount of followers that I have, and then you'll know that it's me. If somebody got 5,000 followers, it's not me. But if it has like 6 figures on there, then you know that you got the real Mah Mah Tea. Yes. Or you can just contact me at sacredtea.net, and that's my website where you can just actually contact me there.
And also, before we get out here, one last announcement, family. We are definitely making our annual Stone Mountain retreat, the hike up Stone Mountain. This one is going to be the biggest ever. It's going down June 28th. I'm hoping Mah Mah Tea can make it. I gotta holla at Vicki and Myrah and see
put it in the universe. Put it in the universe.
Family, so far, and we do this sunrise. It don't cost nothing to go to come on this hike. You just got to show up early in the morning. It happens at sunrise. It is one of the most enjoyable, memorable. Is that a word? Memorable experiences you can have. Listen, family. So far, who's coming with us? So far on the list, we got Miss Blue tapping in. Miss Blue will be with us. We got the brother Billy Carson is hiking up with us. Okay. So we got Miss Blue. We got Billy Carson hiking up with us. We got 19 Keys hiking up with us. Miss, this is not normal. I'll be telling you.
I love your excitement.
Yeah, right.
We got Billy Carson. We got 19 Keys. We got Yaya 77. We got
that's my girl.
We got Sharif Babe. We got Chief Top Cats. We got Kim Simon. We got like I said, Q Reeves is gonna be there. Listen, family, it is
phenomenal.
It's star studded. it.
Yes, sir.
Stars said it.
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
You don't have to even pay
That's
to be
fire.
there. Just be there.
Right. Right.
Going
Yeah.
up.
I'm gonna have to make that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hey, Mama Tea, wait, hold on.
I have to make that one. Yeah, I
Mama Tea,
think
you
I
gonna be
might
there?
make that one. Yeah. I might make that one. Yeah, for real.
And what's the date again?
This
The
gonna
28th.
28th. I'm gonna call you tomorrow, Sister
We'll
Myrah.
look into it. Yeah.
I'm gonna call you
Yeah.
tomorrow. This is gonna be the
That
biggest.
sounds fire.
This is
Yeah,
gonna be
that
the
sounds
biggest
fire.
hike of Stone Mountain ever. They say this. This is gonna be the biggest hike of Stone Melanated hike up a
There
Stone
you
Mountain
go.
ever.
Yeah.
There
The
you go.
gods and goddesses of planet Earth.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Oh my God!
That's right.
Lit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call y'all tomorrow, Sister Myrah.
Yeah, call me
Okay,
tomorrow.
give me the
Yeah,
details so
let's
I
do
can
that.
see if I can get prepared for it. Yes.
June
Yeah.
28th.
I'm gonna be looking into it.
June 28th. How many
June
times?
28th. Okay.
We better go. This Virgo, honey. You know a Virgo.
I know. He got.
Quantity. Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yes,
sounds
sir.
fantastic.
I'm
I'll
gonna be
do my
talking
best.
more about it in the
Yes.
future, but listen, make
Powerful.
sure y'all
Powerful.
follow and support
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
the
Yeah.
reincarnation of the Sibyls right
I
here, right
say. There you
say,
go.
I
Motherfucker,
say,
hit the
I
thing
say,
back. There you go.
Y'all witness it in real time.
Yes, sir.
Y'all,
Yes,
this
sir.
was incredible.
Yeah, it was
Shows
amazing.
I ever did.
Yeah, it was fire.
Follow them. The
You
social
gotta
media
love Rich, man.
content, dropping knowledge.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate y'all. Thank you for
Thank
coming on.
Thank you.
So much.
Love you
Thank you
too.
so much.
Look, I love you all. Love you.
Love you
Thank you,
back.
Rich. I appreciate you.
Blessings
This
to
is
the
fabulous.
audience. Thank you
Much
so
love
much.
to all of you. Thank you
I
so
love
much.
this. This has been
Have a good night in
All
chat,
right.
family. I will see
Yeah.
y'all tomorrow. Peace and
All right.
blessings, y'all.
Peace
Peace
and
and
All right.
blessings.
Peace,
Thank you,
everybody.
ladies.
blessings.
Peace.
Ladies.
Sister
Bye-bye.
Myrah, Mama
Bye,
Tea.
honey.